Hmm? Hmm.
We have Mr. Rajat Soni with us today. Rajat, what is going on, man? We have Bitcoin price is at $75,000 almost, and we got Stanley Druckenmiller, people jumping off, whales jumping off the ship, whales selling in the last year or two. What in the world is happening? What do these people know that we don't know? I think that's the question. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I think it's more that what do they not know that we know? Right? Maybe they don't quite see the world the way that we do. We see the world in a different way. I think that's the contributing factor to this.
Yeah, it's so true. It's funny because like Stanley Druckenmiller, what all of a sudden where crypto, I don't say crypto, but like crypto's trying to find a problem or a solution for a problem that doesn't exist, and he's like, we never need to store value. It's like that's like opposite of literally what he said 6 years ago. It's like where all of a sudden, what were you thinking at that time that made you say that, and then what are you thinking now? Or as a Bitcoiner, you kind of think of who's paying you off, but he's already a billionaire. So like that is weird in and of itself. So we're kind of like, well, is someone paying you off? Why are you saying that? Why, like it's fascinating. And then we go into like the files, like who's blackmailing you to say that? I mean, it's just, I don't know, Rajat. It's very weird. Very, very weird. But have things changed? Has the promise changed? Right.
Whose names have been redacted, right? We have no idea. I think
no idea.
here. We don't know.
For some reason.
What if he's being paid by the banking system? And he's being bribed. Who knows? You never know, right? You have no idea. I mean, I wouldn't even want to accuse him of that, though. I think it's more about just as a billionaire, right? How did he become a billionaire? He became a billionaire from leveraging labor. If nobody wants dollars anymore and everybody wants Bitcoin, then how is he going to get money printed out of thin air to pay people to do the things that he wants them to do? He can't, because money printing wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't it be there? It'd be gone. And how do these people? That's what's it's weird too with like people say like, oh, capitalism's broken or like things of that nature, and it's just it's wild because you can't capitalism can't exist obviously with money backed by nothing. You can't have an economic system built on a faulty foundation, right? You're in quicksand. So I'm building this building, an economic system on quicksand. And it's going to, of course, devolve into this quagmire that we have now of managerialism, cronyism, or whatever you want to call it. Because you have this world again of there is no merit and accountability or free market because the very essence, the accounting mechanism is broken. So you have this world where like guys, I've seen it here in Michigan, you're not too far away where you have like the big three, the automakers, which are a lot of, Ontario and, Michigan, where you have guys making bad decisions and then they're bailed out for it. And this was like, the heart of a lot of this 17, 18 years ago, where there's no feedback loop for society. Well, if I can just do whatever I want and then it's bailed out through the socialization of the losses throughout all the other people and they all have to pay a higher cost of living, then what makes me want to change? Why would I want to change? There's no point.
Yeah.
That's not capitalism.
Agreed.
It's wild.
Completely agree. This goes back to, we recorded a podcast just now for the audience. We were talking about this concept called creative destruction and how if you're being bailed out for making mistakes and you're gambling and you're being bailed out for doing that, what's the reason to be more creative and to risk money on changing policies and changing the way that you do things? There's no reason. So we keep falling into this same rabbit hole where we keep creating more fiat currencies, we keep making people our slaves, and that's just the rabbit hole they're in. It's just going to keep going, and fiat fuels that.
Yeah, and I think the big thing too, and like again, like you said, we just recorded a podcast for my show, and that'll come out on Thursday. Awesome session. But one of the things I asked you was, I'll ask you here again too, because we as Bitcoiners, like we were talking about talking past the sale and assuming the future and things like that. But has anything changed? Have the properties changed at Bitcoin? Has anything changed here at all that would make people, like all of a sudden we're getting cut in half or whatever, and people scrambling and Stanley Druckenmiller changing his mind? Has anything changed that we're all unaware of?
There is one thing that changed. There's only 1 million Bitcoin left to be mined. That's changed. Before there were a lot more than that, and now there's only 1 million left. right? And that, if anything, that should make the billionaires want to buy more. But that's the other thing. How do we know that they're actually selling? How do we know that that's just not their that's not their, just their public opinion where they're saying that they're selling, but they're not actually selling? How do we know that that's not true?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And again, don't trust, verify at the end of the day, right? I would love for you to bring up, do you have that thing handy with the DCA that you were showing me of like what would happen if people were DCAing over the last 4 or 5 years? And because everyone gets caught up in like, well, it's down 50%. Oh, Bitcoin's not a store of value, and on and on and on. But when you actually get into the numbers, they actually show a different story if you would just keep stacking, daily, weekly, monthly, and just knowing what you own.
Yeah, I just shared it.
All right, let's see here. There we go.
So this is it. Let's say if you started buying Bitcoin at 69K at the very, very top in November of 2021, you started buying $50 every week. You just kept buying, just kept buying, just kept buying, kept accumulating over time. You would have, okay, so you can see here, November of 2022, when the price was at its lowest, 16,500. You can see here, your $50 would have bought 303,000 Satoshis. Today, that 303,000 Satoshis would cost you $226. So over time, you can see Bitcoin's price keeps going up, keeps going down. The biggest loss that you would have had on a position is when Bitcoin was at 126K. So Bitcoin was at 126K here. So your Bitcoin that you bought at that time would be down 40%. But the biggest gain that you would have on your Bitcoin, so on the best position that you'd have is you see here $225 for the Satoshis that you bought. There was, yeah, so your Satoshis are worth $225 here. So your biggest gain would be up 4.5 times, while your biggest loss would be 40%. So what this means is that over time, if you just aggregate all of your purchases, you can see here, Bitcoin is only up 8% since 2021, from 69K to 74.7K, whereas your portfolio would be up 82%. You would have put in $11,300 and your Bitcoin would be worth $20,555. You'd have 27.5 million Satoshis. And this is just from dollar cost averaging $50 a week.
And so that's why, like, again, we talked about the whales jumping ship, and that's a whole different story, right? There's whales the last couple of years, Stanley Druckenmiller, these guys are in a whole different world. It's a whole different realm. So that's why it doesn't, people are getting scared about it and worried about it. But again, we said earlier today too, and this is a great point that maybe you could touch on too. Look how much time we've spent at the 60,000 mark, whether it's 58K gang a year or two ago for like 8 months. And then now it's just been at 60, 60, 60, 70, even call it 80s too, but like 60, 78. It's just been sitting here. And we would have been loving life, if this was like 5 years ago or something, 6 years ago, like, wait, what? It's just sitting at 80K or 70, 60K. So it is a good reminder. So yeah, here we go.
Like you can see it here. What you were mentioning there is it was at 60K for, you can see here, 60,500. It was above 60,500 here, and then here, and then here briefly, and then it came down. Like it was there for maybe a couple days at most. No, actually, maybe a little bit longer than that. Maybe a couple weeks, right? But now it's just sitting at 60K, like it's just chilling there. It's just it's not going lower. And we had so much manipulation. Like who knows? Maybe it could. I'm not even saying it can't. But we had manipulation.
Right.
Like Jane, you remember Jane Street?
Right.
A couple weeks ago.
Yep.
They were trying to sell Bitcoin every day at 10 a.m. and they actually got accused of it, and they couldn't bring it back below 60K. It was below 60K very briefly. Actually, let's go take a look at this. So one day, and then we'll see what the low was. Where was the low? Oh, I can't even go that far. Go 5 days. But okay, here. No, that's 64K. 63K. No, I can't even get to that. Oh, here. Okay. So it was there for maybe like half an hour. Here. Yeah, less than half an hour. It was there for like 5 minutes below 60K. Now it can't go. Now it's not going below. But keep in mind, like, again, we're comparing this to the previous time where Bitcoin was at 60K. The previous time, it could barely go above.
Yeah. Oh, how the times change. Higher highs, higher lows.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like those memes where they show who is it the guy from James Bond where 60K in 2021 versus 60K in 2026. Have you seen those memes where it's like he
oh
looks like all
man, so
raggedy
good.
versus he looks like he looks
Yes, it's just
polished and
trashed. Yeah.
yeah, it's really funny.
It is, but it's about perspective. And again, that's what so much of what you and I do on our channels, and so really I would say almost all of the Bitcoin content creators like that are out there, like that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to show people, and hey, the conviction you have, there's a reason for that. Like keep the main thing, like we talked about this earlier. Like the fundamentals haven't changed, properties haven't changed. It's people's emotions have changed, other things in the world, but we've gone up to 126,000. We come back down to 60 or 70 or 80 or whatever it is. It's like these things ebb and flow. But like you said, I mean, it's so important when you think about it was just 5 years ago. I mean, it crashed down during COVID or 6 years ago. Well, yeah, exactly. I think it was like today, exactly 6 years ago today,
Wow.
it crashed down to 3,000. Like, or,
Wow.
so over the weekend, it crashed down to 3,000. It went from like 6 to like 3,000 in one day, pretty much, when they were locking things down, all this stuff's coming out. And so it's like, when you look back at that, and it's what, 75 divided by 3, what is that, 25? So it's gone up, 25 times since that low 6 years ago, 25x. I mean, it's just like, so when you zoom out, which is not that far away, that was only 6 years ago. Can you imagine doing 25x 6 years from now? Like if it's 2032, and it's
What
like,
would that be?
I mean, what would that even be? I mean, that's
Let's see.
25x. Yeah. So while you're looking that
1.87
up,
million. Holy shit.
right.
1.87 million. Wow.
And you know what the funny part is, Rajat? I mean, when you look at a lot of the models, which models are made to be broken, but like a lot of the models kind of bear that out ish. Maybe it's 1 million, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 1.5, maybe it's 900,000. But like when you really zoom out, you're like, oh my gosh, like it's just my human emotion really like wreaking havoc on me, when it's very clear and obvious, and it is a story value. It is unchanging. It is the measuring stick. It is this thing that exposing fiat, right? So it's wild, but you got to keep it in perspective at the end of the day.
Have you seen those posts? I think they're just engagement bait, but people saying, if I put $1,000 in Bitcoin and it goes to $1 million, I'll only have like this amount of money. And I think it's engagement bait, because you can't get rich putting $1,000 into anything, right? But a lot of people I think they actually believe that. They actually think that way. If I put $1,000 in Bitcoin and it doubles, I only have $2,000. But that's why you have to keep dollar cost averaging, right? That's why you keep buying over time. You keep buying, you keep buying. Like based on that example, the spreadsheet example that I showed, Bitcoin didn't even double in the last 5 years, 4.5. It didn't even double, and you're still up 80%. So if Bitcoin does double, how much will you be up? You'll be up way more.
Yes. Yeah. And the other part of all this too is like Jeff Snyder the other day. I mean, how many headlines have we had with banks gating funds, Morgan Stanley, Blackstone over the last number of years, BlackRock, all these things. You and I were talking about the banks earlier, Silicon Valley Bank. These things are, just waiting to come down at some point. And it could be 10 years from now, could be next month, could be this week. Like you just don't know. But that's the fragility of this system that we're in right now. And that's why Bitcoin exists. I love when people are like, well, Bitcoin only exists because, the government's, printing it and doing it. It's like, no shit, Sherlock. Like, of course, like if humans followed the 10 commandments, we wouldn't even have money. Like we wouldn't, there'd be no war. Like it's not reality, So it's like, this is my point with all this, is it's going to continue happening. And that's where we talk about price, what's happening. It's got a little nice pop today. So, people are feeling excited, but it's like, here's the fundamentals. Here's the price chart, Rajat showed you. But at the same time, you mix that with pain and education, but also these things are going to keep coming down. They're going to keep blowing themselves up over time. They're going to keep printing currency forever. Like, which way do we think, as you know this better than anybody in investing, the trend is your friend. They're printing, we're at the hockey stick part of the curve. You could probably find this better than I do on the internet, but like find the hockey stick part of the debt curve. And it's like, it's only going up. I think the debt in America was like 5 to 10 trillion, 15, 18 years ago. And now it's at 40 trillion almost. And the CBO, or I don't know if it's the CBO or someone put out recently in the last couple of weeks, that the debt is going to be, this is their conservative estimate, going to be $63 trillion by 2036. Do we think it's really only going to be 63 trillion? I mean, this is wild. Oh, you got it. Okay, here, let me put this up here. Oh boy, we're living in clown world, Rajat, and gang,
crazy,
and chat. Look at this, unreal.
Like the insane part here
Absolutely
is like
unreal.
you can see 1966, there was 321 billion in debt. 321 billion.
Wow.
Now there's 38.5 trillion. Wait, was this 381?
My goodness.
What was this, millions? Yeah. Oh, yeah, billion.
It's got to be. It's got to be billion. Yeah.
Now it grows by like 10x in a quarter. You can see that.
Oh, man.
It grew by 3.2 trillion in one quarter. From Q1, you can see here from Q1 2020 it was at 23.2. Q2 2020 it was at 26.5. 3.2 trillion, whereas back here it was 320 billion. So it grew 10x.
My goodness.
In 3 months.
That is insanity.
When was the US? When was the US declared a country? 1776.
Yeah.
So it took 190 years to get to 321 billion. And it took 1 quarter to grow it by 3.2 trillion. And yeah, back to the thing that you were saying, the predictions. It's crazy because they think that this is going to get stable. They think it's going to slow down, but it's not.
You're right. Yeah, that's the crazy part. Yeah, exactly. That is it, Rajab. Like I don't think like, well, I know. I mean, we all know like humans aren't good with linear. Like we're with exponential, right? We're only good with linear, looking at things like that. And it's like, guys, we're at the hockey stick part of the curve. And to be really honest, I mean, like you could just do this last 17 years since Bitcoin came out, like the debt chart. As I always say to everyone in the live streams, like the debt chart here is the price of Bitcoin in essence. Like they're the same. Like you want to see the price of Bitcoin, just look at the debt and the curve of the debt. That's going to be the price of Bitcoin. Because it's like, you know, if it goes up to 63 trillion, just say it only goes up that amount. That's 50% loss. Like that's the amount of debt and, you know, printing they've done from here in the next 10 years. That's 50%. So everything you're holding in dollars is going to be cut by 50%. And they're telling you right there, like, you better get into, I mean, something, I mean, some type of assets. I mean, hopefully it's Bitcoin, the easiest thing you can get into, anyone can get into, and the strongest, but that it's mind bending to me. That's why like they go back to the Stanley Druckenmiller thing of like, what do you mean we don't need a store of value, Stan? Like what clown world are you living in right now? Just nuts.
Yeah. It's also what Elon said, right? He said, you don't need to save. Do you remember that? We're not going to need to save anymore because there's going to be no jobs or something.
Because well, you know what? When was that? Was that I'm thinking of the one he just said recently, where like there's going to be an energy money, but that was recent in the last like, you know, month or two. So are you talking about something that was like
3-4 months ago.
Further back? Okay,
maybe 3-4 months ago.
Maybe that was the same interview. Yeah.
Maybe. Yep. He was saying you're not going to need to save.
Because you won't need money.
Right. You're not going to need money. It's all going to be universal basic income. And why is he retaining all his wealth then? Give it away.
Right.
Give it away.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Away. Just give it away. Just give it away. That reminds me of Bob Proctor, another good Ontario man.
Don't take your $1 trillion salary if that's what you think.
Right. Yeah. Like what are we doing here? Like, what do you mean? It's just the only way I can see, like, what he's saying has a grain of truth to it in the sense of like things become so abundant, but this is only going to be done through Bitcoin, right? Like if things become so abundant and that energy becomes so abundant and all this, that we live in this world where, yeah, I mean, the cost of living is essentially free for basically everybody, then yeah, like you might not need money theoretically. So you can make this argument, because I remember like years ago, I kind of did that thought experiment in my head. You know, one day I just sat there in this, you know, state of just, you know, I don't know what I was doing, meditating or something. And I was like, wow, like we might get to a place where you don't even need money. Like if things become so cheap and it's so, you know, because that's the thing, like people want to act like deflation doesn't exist in the sense of, well, we can't have deflation. Like you can't have that world. Like who's going to lend? Who's going to do things with Bitcoin? It's like, we already have a deflationary world, like cutscene. It's here. Like it's called human progress and technology growth. Like it's here.
Yeah.
We just don't have anything accounting for it. Like we're just raping and pillaging everyone around us because of the currency we choose to use on top of that human progress. It's clown world. So anyway, that to me, it is. It's truly wild. And that's where, again, we talked about, you know, recording this pod, that saturation, that breaking point. Where is that for the people? Is it this demographic shift? You know, when do people realize that? When do enough people realize that? And the iceberg flips.
I think people just don't care. I don't think they care. Like I started posting about Bitcoin
Oh,
on Instagram. And so I started posting about Bitcoin on Instagram before I was posting just about personal finance and stocks and real estate. And I got to like 115,000 followers. As soon as I started posting on Instagram, I lost like 25,000 followers. People don't care. People don't care. They don't want, they want to be able to complain. I think they want to
they
have their
do.
problems for as long as possible because it just gives them something to blame, right? They don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to take the responsibility of owning Bitcoin. They don't want to take the responsibility of having to learn about it. So I don't think they care. I think that's why STRC works so well because it's giving you cash flow,
Yeah.
right? They don't care about
Yep.
taking self custody. They don't care about censorship resistance. They don't care about being able to cross borders. What they care about is being able to pay for their expenses. That's it.
Yeah. No, that is very true. And it just makes me think of, like, again, pain. Like these things, like we showed the debt chart, stuff like this, stuff like the Stan Druckenmiller. And he's not going
Yeah.
to see pain necessarily, but like the average person's going to see pain with the money printing. Now at the same time though, I mean, the more you have these ridiculous things happening in the world in general, like you're going to have more unrest. Like you have more unrest. So like Stan, God love you. Like you got to live in this world too. Like your family has to live in this world. Your sons, your daughters, your whatever. This, like your kids, your aunts, your uncles, your friends. They all have to live in that world. So at some point, the human nature is going to snap and be like, yeah, no, we can't keep going this way. And it does feel like we're getting there with the files coming out, all these different things happening, and just technology being what it is. We can communicate with people much easier now. If you think of like the wars, all the things that have gone on for centuries, millennia, where no one could communicate, no one knew what was going on. Like, oh, you're getting pillaged by your king over there. Oh, so are we. Like, wait, what? Like, that's not, wait, you are, but I'm not. Like, well, what do you mean? Like, so now like the learning is speeding up. And I think that's the thing
Yeah.
that really has me hope. Well,
That's huge. Yeah,
yeah.
100%. Could you imagine like just trying to learn about these topics without the internet? Impossible.
Oh my
Of course,
goodness.
there's
You
there's a
couldn't.
lot of
Yeah.
news. I mean, sorry, there's a lot of noise, of course, just like everything. But I,
Yes.
I feel like without the internet, we wouldn't be able to filter out anything, right? We wouldn't be able to get all the information. Like I wouldn't be able I would never have connected with you, right?
Yep. 100%. Yep. Absolutely. And all the people in the chat, right? Like all these people
Yep.
that come here
Every
and
single
join us
person.
doing this stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, like you wouldn't have any of that. So, because it's funny you say that too, Rajat, because when I was doing real estate, when I retired from playing hockey in 2012, and then I went and did my real estate career for 10 years, I didn't think, because I was in the Instagram world, in that fiat world, as like you're in Instagram, Facebook. I was doing Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives, trying to build the fiat business and build my real estate network. And I was not on Twitter. I got off Twitter after being very political in the late 2000s when Twitter came out, and I got off in 2012. Like after that election, I was like, no, I'm done with Twitter. So I didn't get back on Twitter until like 2022. And I realized and found the Bitcoin community after, buying it a number of years before, but never knew there was like a community really around Bitcoin. And I was like, holy cow, like where do these people come from? I didn't know people like me
Yeah.
existed. Like I had no idea. So to your point, none of this would have happened unless we had the technology, the Riversides, the StreamYards, all this stuff. I mean, it's pretty incredible when you think about it. So we're going the right way. Very hopeful.
Yeah. And all of us have been able to just build businesses because of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anybody can do it, right? Anybody can use this thing to their advantage. They can use it to discover where the world is going. They can use it to build their view of the future of the world. And I think that's so powerful.
Let me see. Oh, yeah, I could not agree more. I'm going to see if I can put this up here. Were you able to see this thing that Chamath put out about the collapse of terminal value? What happens if AI makes everything moat temporary? And then he, let me see here. Sailor tweeted at him, was just like, if AI compresses terminal value and makes every moat temporary, capital will rotate to assets with no disruption risk. Bitcoin is digital capital, scarce, neutral, and impervious to AI disruption. Bitcoin should be the primary beneficiary of this shift. And then Chamath was like, well, Bitcoin would need to be quantum resistant by then. Did you see that? I don't know when this was, today or yeah.
I didn't see
today.
it.
Yeah.
I saw
Oh,
I saw Sailor's response, but I didn't see Chamath's response. Can you hit show replies? Did he reply again?
Yeah. Yeah, he
Oh,
did
didn't
actually.
reply.
Couple hours.
He didn't
Oh,
reply
did you?
after.
Oh no, he didn't. I didn't
No,
know.
so
I didn't see the
Michael,
Sailor one actually.
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. So Sailor didn't Sailor replied and then Chamath didn't reply.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So funny. I threw a comment in here.
What did you say?
Look at that. Look at how many people are just chirping them. This is hilarious. All I put was, again, it's just like the classic quantum crap. So I was like, dude, just stop reusing addresses. And I was like, stop scaring people. And then I had like 100 likes on it. Like just tons of people were just like, it's just like the ridiculous, quantum FUD and all these different things. And then the people were like, well, it's not, individuals that were worried about quantum. It's like the whole network that's why people are scared. It's like, no one's scared about that. Like, what are you talking about? The whole network? Like, you're telling me Chase Bank, the centralized nodes and, the military, all that, like we're going to bypass that. I'm going to go attack this $2 trillion network because I got quantum. Like, what do you mean? And on top of that, Rajat, what's fascinating to me, again, a lot of times it's the things that aren't said. Random jabroni guy down the street's not going to have quantum ability. It's going to be government. It's going to be someone really big. So you're telling me, you're basically admitting, well, if government can crack quantum and then we can crack Bitcoin because of that, then they're going to go right to attacking Bitcoin. Well, what does that tell you? Like, that's the signal in all the noise. I mean, it's like,
the most important thing in the world.
Right. I mean, in no way does it make sense. And you're just like, you're outing yourself. It's like Carolyn Leavitt, the Trump press secretary, being like, let me make this clear. There was zero threat to the American homeland by Iran because of the drone thing over there. And it's like, oh, you said the quiet part out loud. Oh my gosh. Like, and then Chuck Schumer did this the other day too. Sorry. I'm like on the rant of people like the Freudian slips. Oh my gosh.
That's really interesting. I feel like that connection is so important.
It is. It's like the Freudian slip of so you've got like Republicans and Democrats, which again is just fake, false dichotomy of red versus blue. Because then Chuck Schumer the other day, just in the last week or two, was like, if we pass the SAVE Act, then it's going to be purging of all these people from the voter rolls. And it's like, oh, Chuck, you just said the quiet part out loud again. Like, what are we doing? Like, yes, that's the whole point. Like, if people aren't in this country legally, then they probably shouldn't vote. Like, it's like, oh no, you just let the cat out of the bag. It's like this constant thing of like, wait, why are you people all scared of quantum when I'm not going to have quantum. So like, I'm not the worry. So like, who's the worry at the end of the day? And why are you telling me, you're basically admitting that they're going to go after Bitcoin? Why would they go after Bitcoin if it's so unpowerful and it means nothing and it's this little asset over here?
I think people just don't understand that like this thing is, it's worth $2 trillion, meaning that there is $2 trillion worth of wealth here that can be used to upgrade Bitcoin, that people will voluntarily give, and they'll pay people to develop ways to fix this.
Right.
That's the key, because they want to protect their own wealth. It's selfish. It's game theory. That's how it works.
Literally. Thank you for saying that too, because that was the other part of it where I was like just laughing. I was having the conversations back and forth with people. I'm like, wait, so you're taking everything we just said. You're going to trust the network that there is no incentive to actually like uphold your wealth in this centralized JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America. What incentive do they actually have? Because they can just reinstitute it with a flick of a switch, which you can't in Bitcoin, which is like, oh, they're going to shut off Bitcoin, the flick of a switch. No, that's the centralized legacy system. They can do that. And then we all lose by inflation. And if that off's getting rug pulled and then inflation after that. But in Bitcoin, like you said, these people are economically incentivized to uphold the integrity and structure of the system. It's like one's not the other. I mean, it's just, it makes me want to go mad, Rajat. It really makes me want to go mad.
Yeah. Hey, I really like that comment from Hillbilly Hodl.
Yeah, let's hit some comments here. Yeah,
that's so good. Yeah, that last comment there.
Oh yeah. Here, let me put this up here.
I've DC'd for 5. That's so impressive.
This is what you were just talking about. Yeah, this is what you were just showing everyone. Yep. Yeah, this is beautiful. It is so cool.
Amazing.
Dang. Yeah, right there in real life, a real life example. That's amazing.
1.11 BTC, man. Like that's crazy. That's generational wealth right there.
That's like incredible.
If you can hold for a couple of decades, oh man. If you keep stacking, of course, maybe a little sooner, but if you hold 1.11 BTC for a couple of decades, man, oh my God.
Yep.
Great work.
That's remarkable. Yeah, good for you, Billy. Good for you. That is amazing. All right, let's see. Any other things you want to kind of touch on in here? I'm going to go through some of these comments and questions and figure out what's going on here.
Dynamin CX, he said, time is key. Hodl for 10 years. Thank me later. Absolutely.
I can't find that one yet. I'll put it up there when I find it.
No,
Yep, Rajat mentioned this earlier. Yep. Crossing the threshold is of 20 million. Absolutely amazing. You know, the thing too, Rajat, I was thinking about because I was trying to do this like a couple months ago. I was trying to like create like a database in a sense, or like a, I don't know, calculator or something in the effect of I was trying to figure out like what was, I took like 1913 basically, like right before the Federal Reserve came in, and I was like, okay, what are the prices of everything at this time? Or at least, 5 things or 10 things, like the movie ticket, popcorn or whatever it was. And so it was like, a loaf of bread was like 4 cents or whatever it was. And when you like equated that out to like sats, or like what it would be in now, it was like 4 sats, so I'm giving or take a little bit, right? So the whole point was like, if you're paying more than 4 sats for your loaf of bread, you're technically overpaying, but my whole point of where I'm going with all this though is you can denominate, because this makes me think of it, you can denominate the world in 21 million Bitcoin right now. Like it's not, you don't have to do 20 or whatever. Like we have the measuring stick. And like we constantly are going through the world trying to measure, build the house with a 15-inch ruler, and then a 12-centimeter ruler, and then a 24-inch ruler. Like we're constantly like shifting and whatever. And Bitcoin gives you that ability to just measure wealth and the monetary world with this unchanging measuring stick. And that's one of the big unlocks that, again, I think people are going to start realizing. But I was thinking of this thing where, again, because the real aha moment is like housing, right? We know how many houses there are in the world. Like we could find how many houses. So what is every house actually worth in Bitcoin? Like, you could go do math on that. And then when there's disruption, or say some houses burn down, then okay, there's a little bit less supply of houses. And so you have this little undulation where, okay, now it's incentivized builders to maybe go build a couple of these houses. They're going to get even more sats for, or they're worth more because there's less housing available. So it incentivizes builders to go do that. So you have these natural ebbs and flows in supply and demand in the market, instead of these wild, massive bubbles and swings because of currency printing and government. So anyway, that was just a thought I've been having recently. This comment made me think of it.
I was thinking about that exactly. So I feel like on a Bitcoin standard, there probably will still be taxes. There still will be governments. There still will be all of that, and they'll collect Bitcoin from their people. Maybe let's say 10% flat rate for everything, or 10% flat rate for consumption, and they take that, and then what they would do is they could essentially use that to fund projects that the public wants. Right. So let's say, for example, if house prices are too high, the government could fund housing projects, and they could just do whatever the public votes for, rather than just choosing whatever they want to do. Right. So let's say the public says, oh, housing is too expensive. We fund houses. Let's say the public says that, oh, cars are too expensive. We start funding either public transit, or we start funding more car production, whatever it is. But I feel like I think there still will be a tax, but it'll be used in a different way. Like today, taxes are used to, well, not even taxes, but money printing is just used to fund death and destruction. Think about how much money goes into like building one bomb, right? They drop one bomb, costs a couple $1 million, few $1 million, a few tens of millions of dollars, right? It's crazy how the money is being used today. Whereas on a Bitcoin standard, I think the politicians, the political class, will have to be a lot more accountable.
Yeah, 100%. This is another one Scotty earlier said, I just refied my home and scooped up a whole coin last week. Let's go. A little cash out refi.
Really great.
Pick up that's amazing. Look at that. Using that cheap fixed rate debt to scoop up some extra sats, a whole 100 million sats. Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. It's things are going to be changing going forward. That's for dang sure. Let's see. I'm trying to find anyone. A few more minutes. We're going to probably shut it down here in a couple of minutes. So Rajat's got to run. Let's see here.
There's this one. Fiat Lies does. It was actually, I think it was right. Yeah, it was right before that. That one from Scotty. It says, does Bitcoin market cap even matter? Like with BTC, average returns eventually reduce to 10%, like the S&P 500, because of the market. Yeah, that's the one. The market becoming more mature. I don't think that's going to happen, because I feel like the S&P 500 is controlled, right? The S&P 500 only goes up based on how much the fiat currency supply goes up. Bitcoin's not going to go up by that much. Bitcoin is so much better than fiat that it'll rise because people want to leave fiat. The S&P 500 relies on fiat. The S&P 500 is a partner with fiat. Bitcoin is the exact opposite. So the US dollar can keep losing 30% per year in terms of Bitcoin forever. Like it can lose 30%, then it can lose another 30%, then it can lose another 30%. Whereas the fiat currency system and the S&P 500 are tied together. They make sure that the S&P 500 doesn't go down too much. Like if you look at the chart, it's clearly controlled. It's designed to go up at a flat rate. If it goes up too much, people get too overconfident. They start spending money like crazy. If it goes down too much, people get too worried and they start selling and they start panicking. So they need to create guardrails, and it needs to stay within that range. Whereas with Bitcoin, it can go down 80%, but it can also go up 8,000% at any time.
Yeah, so true. So true. It goes up with the currency printing, right? Like that was Tad Smith, ex-Sotheby's CEO, and he's just like, wow, I realized like, wait, the market's only going up like 8 or 9% a year. And he's like, oh, wait, currency printing, the supply of currency is going up 8 or 9% a year over the last 50 years. Like, huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wild. All Bitcoin. Let's see. DTube said all in a Bitcoin or split with the ETFs. Me personally, it's all Bitcoin. You know, that's me, but it's, I'm more of the revolutionary side for sure. So that's me. What about you, Rashad?
I think there could be some benefits to having the ETFs, right? Just splitting it. You don't have to put all of it, of course. I don't like that idea. And I get where you're coming from. You want to take everything out of the banking system. But let's say, for example, I know if you set it up properly, if you have multi-sig and all that stuff, but not everybody has that. If you don't set it up properly and you only have self-custody, you only have one copy of your keys and you haven't studied it well, in that case, you may not want to have all in on Bitcoin self-custody. You may want to diversify, because there's also, let's say, for example, if you have Bitcoin in self-custody and you've taken care of it really well, but your family doesn't understand Bitcoin, then they're going to have a lot of trouble getting it, or they'll never get it. Right. And that's the problem. Whereas, let's say if you have it in the ETFs, that could give you some benefits. Of course, you're funding BlackRock. BlackRock is taking 25 basis points off your Bitcoin every year. But of course, there are some benefits. I think there are benefits and trade-offs for everything. With the ETFs, of course, there's more there's more cons than there are pros. With self-custody Bitcoin, there's more pros than cons.
Agreed. All right, we got to hit this one for sure before you leave. Bitcoin is a high beta tech play. Nothing more, Rajat. It's nothing more than that. There's no other use case or utility or nothing. This is wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't understand how people come to this. I think the only way that they can come up to this is if they haven't studied anything. Jork likes to call these people 0-hour dipshits, and that means that they've put 0 hours into studying what Bitcoin is. Right? They've put 0 hours into studying Bitcoin. They don't understand what it is. They don't know where it's going. They don't care. All they care about is the price, and that's exactly what this person is thinking. They think high beta, and they haven't thought of over the long term. This is the only asset that you can take self-custody of. You can't take self-custody of, let's say, Apple. You can, let's say, for example, you take self-custody of stock certificates, but you don't actually get the value. The value, what you get is just a piece of paper. The value is the actual company. The US government can confiscate the company. You still have those stocks, but they're backed by something physical. Whereas if you own Bitcoin, if you own the private keys, you own the value. It's a bearer asset, versus stocks are not a bearer asset. Even if you hold the stock, it's not a bearer asset, because the company can be taken away. What they produce can be competed against. It can be disrupted. The company can break down. The executives could be corrupt. Tons of things that could happen with a company.
And you're completely entrenched inside the system. Still, that's the wild part. Like if you don't run a node, if like you say, if you haven't studied it all, if you don't run a node, you don't understand self-custody, which really all these things nowadays, this not before, but nowadays, this could take 5-10 minutes to get a node up and running, to get your self-custody up and running. I mean, that's how easy it's getting to do all this. You are outside the system. Like the Titanic's going down, the US monetary debt-based Titanic is going down. All these assets you just talked about, Bitcoin is the only thing that's on the life raft over here, still above the water. But again, you got to put work in to understand that. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
Yep. Great stuff, brother. You got to run here in a minute.
Yeah, I got to go.
Yeah. Time is key. Like we were saying earlier, Rashad said this in our podcast earlier, said this earlier too. Hodl, 10 years. Yep. That's it. It's going to be a big shift in the next 10 years. Massive shift. Massive shift with AI, everything. Well, great stuff, brother. Any words of wisdom before you depart and need to go to your next meeting?
Just keep going, keep buying, ignore the noise. That's it. Ignore the noise, you'll do fine. That's it. Exactly. That
and I love this.
Going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to pass. Yep. And it goes back to Bob Proctor, like we said earlier. Yeah, that 30 years is going to pass anyway. What are you going to do with that time? It's going to happen regardless. So, great stuff.
I got to go. Are you staying on?
Yep. I'm going to stay on for a couple of minutes, answer a few more, and then we'll shut her down.
Cool.
Appreciate it,
later, Brendan. Good talking to you again.
Yeah, Bye. Great stuff. Bye.
Bye.
Well, great stuff, guys. Great stuff. We'll go for a few more minutes, answer a few more of these questions. We'll have Rajat again on soon. We also have our Tuesday, Rajat, me, Jor, and Robin Sear do the Tuesday mastermind call at 2 p.m. Eastern. So check that out. We do the Bitcast on Wednesday evening with Joey, Canadian Bitcoiners, Walker America, and Nathan and Mr. Ben Perrin from BTC Sessions and Bitcoin BTC Mentor. So I appreciate you guys a ton for being here. And we're going to do more of this. We're going to be doing more of this in our live stream Mondays and Fridays. We're going to be doing this. Rajat's podcast will be out Thursday. So the one that we just recorded right before we jumped on here. So that will be out Thursday. That's always going to be a good one. As you guys know, Rajat is so eloquent at speaking and letting us know exactly what's going on in this wild world we're in. So that's such a good one by Billy, though. That time's going to pass anyway. You have to position yourself properly because the time will pass. What are you doing with that time? Don't be a 0-hour Bitcoiner. Don't. And it goes back to studying the political system, the monetary system, history, the military, war, all these things. A lot goes into studying Bitcoin. Everyone has to go through the fatal funnel. You don't just wake up and become a Bitcoiner someday. It is earned. It is earned. You got to get punched in the face. I mean, let's call it what it is. You don't gain Bitcoin knowledge just by waking up one day and, oh my gosh, look, I'm so smart. You gain it by going through the gauntlet, by going through the fatal funnel of touching the stove, buying altcoins, buying ship coins, going down the road, trying to, destroy yourself with real estate or whatever it is. I was a real estate guy, gold and silver guy. Many of you guys know my story, did all those things. And you realize, oh, not only is it a slog, but no one's following me. This doesn't fix the system. Me getting great at real estate, me buying tons of gold and silver, that doesn't fix the system. It didn't. It doesn't fix it. You can't. It's not a protocol outside the system. It's not a protocol off the Titanic, which, by the way, we're going to show that. I'm going to show that in here. So this is the difference. So don't be a 0-hour. You have to go through the gauntlet, though. You have to go through the fatal funnel. So if you're into close quarters combat and you're going through and sweeping a house and clearing the house, right? Your fire team's going through there. You have the door everyone has to go through is the fatal funnel where all the barrels are pointed there. That's what Bitcoin is. When you're studying and going through this process of learning Bitcoin and going through these experiences, the ups and downs, the pain, the suffering, getting rug pulled, Celsius, Terra Luna, FTX, people learning, you realize very quickly, this is a different world. There's no bailouts. It's meritocracy. It's properties that are not there in the fiat system. But you have to go through that fatal funnel. You have to go through it. It's like Bud's a Hell Week, being a Navy SEAL, right? You go to Hell Week and now you're bonded. You have to go through that small door. What's the Bible? If you or many are called, if you are chosen. This is the funnel that you have to go through. You have to put in the work to do it. Otherwise, these things don't make sense. They do not make sense. If you're looking at these things as it's the existing system and it's just some high beta tech stock play, not to, to rag on whoever said that, but it couldn't be any different than that. And just because we zoom in on a quick little time period and think that it looks like that for a moment, doesn't mean that's what it is. That's why Rajat showed some of these charts zooming out and what actually happened. When we said 6 years ago, almost to the day, this weekend, 6 years ago, this weekend, that Bitcoin crashed down from 6,000 down to 3,000, 3,500, whatever it was, almost 50% in a day or two or a couple of days, whatever it was. And that's how low it was. And we're at 25x from there. We're down 50% from the all-time high. We're up 25x still from the low 6 years ago. And people are going to sit there and tell you that Bitcoin's not a store of value. Think about that. Really? Government's printed, 40% of the dollars they've said in the last 6 years of all the dollars in existence. And Bitcoin's gone up from the low there, 25x. You take it from 10,000, it's up 7x. What else is giving you a 7% or 700, 600% return in that time? From 10,000 all the way up to 70,000 or 7,500 or 75,000, right? That's how we have to be looking at these things. It's a network effect. It's a network effect. People coming to the network and saying, yeah, I want the truth. I'm done with this. I'm done with the lies. I'm done with the opaqueness. I'm done with the lack of transparency. I'm done with the Epstein files. I'm done with blackmail, bullshit, and bribery. I'm done with this stuff. I'm done. I want transparency. TikTok next block. I want something that someone else, I don't have to trust them for. I don't have to trust a middleman to make sure my money's in Chase Bank. I don't have to trust a middleman that my gold and silver are still in that vault that you're shipping across the world or saying it's getting there. I'm sick of the fees. I'm sick of the transfer tax. I'm sick of the withdrawal fees. I'm sick of the charges on my credit card, the annual fees. I'm sick of all these things. I'm done with it. We're getting raped and pillaged left and right. I'm not doing it anymore. When I go do the 3% on my debit card or credit card to check out somewhere, I'm done with that. Guess what solved that? Bitcoin, Lightning. We have fixes for this. If you're worried about the system, if you're worried about taxes, these things, Bitcoin's completely private if you use it the right way. We have self-custody. You own it. You can hold it in your head. You can hold it on a titanium stamp seed. We have the answers. They're all there if you want it. But most people don't want it, unfortunately. From almost 10 years in Bitcoin, studying politics, monetary history, having my businesses for 15, 20 years now, and then seeing Bitcoin for whatever, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever it's been, it's up here. It's the gray matter between people's ears that keeps them back. Well, that's great, Brandon, but that's great, Rajat, but government's going to do this. But, well, that's you telling yourself that. Well, we can't do that here. You can't do that. Well, no, you can't do that. I can do it because my mindset's different, right? Robert Kiyosaki used to tell this to people all the time. Well, you can't do real estate here. Well, you can't do that deal here. Well, that couldn't be done here. Well, you're right. You can't do it, but I can do it because my mindset's different. And that's how many of us feel when we're talking to somebody, right? And they're telling us why we can't, why this shouldn't happen. Okay, well, as Ayn Rand said, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. That's why Jason Lowery's software book, the thesis, is playing out in real time across the world, everywhere we look. Bombs fall on people's heads, unfortunately. Bitcoin demonetizes war. How does it demonetize war? People can't print Bitcoin. They have to then ask you for your Bitcoin. They have to ask you for your money. What are 99.9% of the people in America, in the UK, in Canada, in Australia going to say when the government has to come ask them for their Bitcoin? They're going to say, no, screw voting. That is the vote. Voting with your wallet. Most people are going to get bent. Get bent. And you can't print it. So you have to ask me for it. Right now, fiat currencies are printed. So they don't have to. The whole point, kings, despots, dictators, tyrants, these people have known for hundreds, thousands of years, if I can take the money from the people, Mayer Amschel Rothschild from 400 years ago, I care not who makes the laws. If I'm permitted to create money, I control the world. This is how the game is run. And until we get our mindset out of thinking it's a high beta tech stock, we won't win. You are still on the Titanic. You will be 12,000 feet under. You can rearrange the deck chairs all you want. You can get in different asset classes. Ooh, I'm getting this deck chair. Oh, that one looks comfy. You will still be at the bottom of the ocean in 4 hours. You can go vote a new captain. You already hit the iceberg, or maybe there was a U-boat that already took you out or something. Who knows? Or maybe there's something already down there in the container. It doesn't matter. The hole's ripped open in the side of the boat. It doesn't matter what captain you vote in at that point. The red versus blue, it doesn't matter. You can't fix the reality from the current system. It doesn't mean you trash everything. It doesn't mean you throw away the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, because they're not even used right now. When's the last time we even used those things here in America? They're only as good. Right now, they're only as good as the paper they're written on because no one upholds the law. Very few people uphold the actual law. Not always, right? But a lot of times, a lot of things that are going on, it's not being upheld. We're not even focusing. We're not even paying attention. We're not holding people's feet to the fire because people have been lost for so long, believing what they're told from media or government-run compulsory schools. This is what's changing. The lack of transparency is going away. Bitcoin is an auditing mechanism that no one can control, secured by energy, by real world work, not just fake fugazis and not someone flicking a switch on and off. Real world capital, time, and energy has to go into it. No one can tell you to get off the network or get on the network. Doesn't matter. It's permissionless. Decentralized nodes running 100,000 around the world can't be taken out by the governments. Whack-a-mole. You tell me, you trust that system or you trust Jamie Dimon in his central node at the Federal Reserve master account. I mean, when you zoom out and look at it, I can tell you where the puck's going. We just shot the puck around the boards and it's coming up around the other side. Get to the far blue line. That's where it's coming. Governments aren't going to stop printing. They're going to print into oblivion. And now you have job losses with AI. They're going to print even more, 1,000 times more. So where do we think this is going? And Bitcoin is capped. Bitcoin is the measuring stick. There'll never be more than 21 million. So where do we think the puck's headed? Government has to print because it's a debt-based monetary system. The Titanic is going down. People are trying to vote for new captains, rearrange deck chairs. The Bitcoiners, people who hold Bitcoin, understand Bitcoin, are off on the Titanic. They're off. They're out there. Hey, come here. I can see the Titanic's going down, but you can't see it. I didn't see it. I was studying the macro system. I was George Gammon guy 15 years ago. I was doing all this studying macro and studying gold and silver and studying interest rates and real rates, studying, PE ratios and cap rates and real estate and all this stuff, all the jargon, all of it. And then you realize, oh my gosh, this is not doing anything to fix the system. The wealth gap just continues to get worse. Social unrest keeps increasing. I'm Marty McFly in Back to the Future too. I got a shotgun in my car because it's Biff Tannen's pleasure paradise. That's the world we want to grow up in. That's the world on Fiat. That's the world on CBDCs. That's the world on UBI. That's the world we're headed to. End of story. This is played out over and over throughout thousands of year history, over and over again. Empires rise, they fall. They debase their money, they fall. They leave God, they fall. You leave God in the spiritual realm and you debase the currency and take the money, time and energy away from the people. Boom. Those two things, those are the pillars of society. Gone, done. See ya. So that's why we're here. That is why we're here right now. It's not some high beta tech stack play. And again, I'm not trying to bag on one person, but it's so far beyond what's actually happening up here that when we get caught in mired in it's a high beta tech stock or it's, boiling the oceans, we're completely missing what's happening. And by the way, we know it's not boiling the oceans because it's actually the biggest Bitcoin network in mining is the biggest user of renewable energy on the planet. Who would have known that? Also some signal in there. Why isn't the government telling us that? Interesting. But why are they for AI though? Because AI takes way more energy than Bitcoin does. Way more. But that's fine. Totally fine. Why is that? Maybe we should ask that question. Well, why is AI okay to use that energy way more than Bitcoin ever did, but Bitcoin wasn't? So what's not being said is just as important as what's being said. Is it maybe because AI is centralized? They believe that they can control everyone with it? Is that why? Is it because Bitcoin is decentralized and they can't control it? There's nothing they can do about it? Maybe that's why. These are the questions that just don't seem to be asked very often. But again, it's tough. You have 100 years of government-run compulsory schooling. People taught to conform, comply, obey, just go along to get along, never say anything. You have fiat destroying the incentives of the system. Seed oils everywhere. Testosterone goes down in society. And we can go on and on and on. Of course you're going to have a society that just complies. Comply, comply, comply. Quack, 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 Mr. Ducksworth. That's the world we're living in. So now it's here, the fourth turning, cleaning up the mess. We're cleaning up the mess of what's come before us. And that's okay. It's life. No better time to be alive. There's been a lot of millions and millions of times in the world where it's not as good as being alive right now. That's the hope-filled part. We have the answers. We know the answers. Transparency is coming back. We ain't going back, as we've been saying here. We ain't going back. The 45 and under crowd, and many of the boomer class that we know here in the chat, that I know personally, or the silent generation, they're not going back. We're not going back to lack of transparency. It's not a world we're going into. We're going up and to the right, the price of Bitcoin, the dollar collapsing into it, the black hole that Bitcoin is. And by the way, I don't know if we touched on this earlier, but when the monetary premium is sucked out of all these other asset classes, what becomes more affordable? Those asset classes. Now it makes sense for a young person to go buy a home because that monetary premium, the utility value is in the home, and then you have the monetary premium being stored on top of it because everyone's looking to get real estate as a store of value, or they're putting it in gold and silver, or they're putting it in the bond market, or whatever it might be to store their value because you can't do it in a bank because the dollar's losing value because they keep printing mass quantities of it. So when you have these assets like the bond market, people start leaving the bond market. Well, guess what? Yields go back up. Now it makes more sense, even though the bond market's immoral, the government bond market, in my opinion, because you're enslaving yourself and guaranteeing future taxation. I digress. But the bonds at least then return more yield. And it makes more sense for people to actually buy bonds. And then houses, when you had the monetary premium leave and price of house, say it's $1 million right now, and then you come down and take the monetary premium out, maybe it only costs, well, maybe that's not a good example. The median, let's use median price home. So it's, say $450,000 median price home across the country, but say it gets cut in half. Say it's only supposed to be $200,000 because the utility cost and the labor cost actually. So now you have this world where the store of value is gone. It's gone to the actual monetary instrument, which is Bitcoin, and sits there in that network in those UTXOs. And now housing becomes more affordable. So this has a ripple effect throughout society. And what happens when things become more affordable and I can put more food on the table? I'm not arguing with my spouse as much. I don't get a divorce, right? All these things. This is why people have such a hard time with Bitcoin, all the ripple effects, the downstream things, because there's many people, their brains are breaking. This is why people say Bitcoin breaks your mind. Bitcoin breaks all your models, because you start realizing that everything you've been taught on a fiat standard is a pseudoscience. And I don't say that lightly. The incentives of the system are such that we were given faulty incentives. The incentives were to consume. The incentives of the fiat were to get into debt. And now I'm doing worse and worse things that go against my better judgment, putting things in my body because I was told by an employer to do this and I was enslaved to my paycheck. These are very real things. These are not easy things to talk about. I say this with empathy. We lived through these things. But now I've made the incentives were such that I was forced to do many of these things in my life. And I realized, oh my gosh, many of the choices I made in my life were because the incentives were forcing me down that road. But I didn't know why. I didn't know what the incentives were. You cannot have honest society from dishonest money. Everything flows from there. You cannot have good fruit from a bad tree, if I could talk. It's actually impossible. You cannot have good, honest, decent society from dishonest money. Cannot have good fruit from a bad tree. So it seems easy. It seems easy after you see behind the curtain, but it seems insane before you do. And this is why studying Bitcoin is the single greatest thing, in my opinion, after being very political, after playing professional hockey, after studying Bitcoin for 10 years in macro and all these different things. The greatest good you can do is to study Bitcoin, not to buy Bitcoin. If buying Bitcoin makes you put more skin in the game, then great, sure. But it's studying Bitcoin, the properties of Bitcoin, what makes Bitcoin different from all their protocols out there. Protocol, not an asset. It's a protocol. It's a money. It's the first money, in my opinion, we've ever had as human beings that fulfill all the properties uniquely. This is what's different with Bitcoin. So just because the US dollar price is volatile and going up and down doesn't mean that Bitcoin is changing. The meme of one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin is still true. It just is education-wise unevenly distributed across society. But that does not mean that it's not going to continue expanding and growing as education continues, as people keep getting rug pulled and people keep experiencing war. They keep experiencing inflation, banks going down, entities collapsing. This is going to continue. We know this. Look at the last 17 years. This is only going to continue. People are hating on Bitcoin, the gambler, because they are scared. They're scared that inherently something inside you tells you the system is rigged against you. Bitcoin's a new thing, and you don't know. We don't like change as human beings, right? We were like our routine. We like to do the same things. We don't want to put in extra work. We want things to just go along to get along. Humans are path of least resistance. It's one of our, after we left the Garden of Eden, it's one of our downfalls. We do the things that are just easiest. Doesn't mean they're the best. Doesn't mean they make the most sense. But people question Bitcoin to the nth degree, but they question those same things they don't ask to the existing system they're in. This is why I can't remember if it was Keynes or Henry Ford 100 years ago saying, if people, paraphrasing, understood the financial system they were in, there would be revolution in the morning. And it's actually a very easy system to understand. Supply and demand is incredibly easy. As Jeff Booth said in the interview that I just put out this past week, supply and demand, economics could be explained to a 5-year-old. You don't need 100 different government university lectures to understand what economics is. And that's the difference. That's the difference with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a whole new world. It is literally the lifeboat off the legacy debt-based fiat dying monetary Titanic. And the greatest good you can do for humanity is studying Bitcoin, because every time someone is buying Bitcoin and getting rid of their fiat, you are defunding that corrupt legacy debt-based monetary Titanic, the banking cartel. You're defunding it. You're taking energy out of the system. Why at the end of the day, riddle me this, why at the end of the day would anyone choose under their own volition to use currency that steals from them? Currency steals from you, right? Theft, inflation, the silent theft, the silent tax. Why would anyone choose under their own powers to use currency that steals from them? Does anyone have an answer for that? Why? They wouldn't. They would not. But why do people do it? Why do people believe in government currencies? Because people like leaders. More importantly, though, the IRS was created in 1913 along with the Federal Reserve and the income tax that we were told were just temporary, just to fund wars. What do you know? Fund wars. So you have this world where you are forced at the end of a barrel of a gun internally. Oh, and now, by the way, I'm not going to get into the JFK talk, but now this is why we have banking, the FinCEN, the Bank Secrecy Acts, and all the things that happen, KYC, AML, is to keep you and me in the system, the $10,000 limit, all this. And now it's $600. We got to know where your $600 went. We got to know. Yet we have no arrests in the files that have been released. Or maybe there's one, Prince Andrew, I guess. So one, congrats. Yay. Wonderful. So we have no idea what's going on with the elites, what they're doing. Fine, totally fine what they're doing. Not one arrest during the '08 financial crisis, but you dang well better pay that 17 cents in tax, or you're going to get a little knock on your door. That's how they keep people in the system internally until someone says, no more, I'm not doing this. George Washington didn't just roll over and the king said, hey, you know what? I appreciate you guys want your freedom, but sorry. Dang it. George Washington goes to the guys and says, you know what, guys, we tried. We wrote them a letter. We really did. We really tried. But King said we can't have our freedom. Darn it. Oh, shucks. Maybe next time. No, freedom is taken. It's not granted. That's a lesson society is going to continue learning, and we're learning it right now. That is the world we're in. So not only do that how we're kept in the corral here internally, whether it's Canada or the US or Australia or UK, whatever, you're kept there by your agencies. It's for your protection, though, for your protection. And then externally, how do we keep people at bay? How do we keep them from using our value? Because the whole point of it, or our dollar, the whole point of this was when people leave the network, the greatest thing you can do is study Bitcoin. Then after you study Bitcoin, you'll probably buy Bitcoin. When you're buying Bitcoin, you're defunding the corrupt legacy debt-based monetary system that is literally robbing you of all your time and energy, and everyone of their time and energy. So it's the greatest gift you can give to humanity. So how do they keep people internally? Well, we just explained that. How do they keep people using a currency that steals from them internally? Through that process, through the end of a barrel of a gun, through letters, through seizing things out of your bank account, knocks on the door. And then how do they do it externally? They take you to war. What are we seeing right now? Oh, you're selling things outside. You're selling things outside the dollar, I heard. Hey, Saddam, I heard you're selling oil outside the dollar. Hey, Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi. Hey, Iran, what are you guys doing? I heard you're doing stuff outside the dollar. Well, we see what happens when you use something other than the dollar outside of the network. Because what happens when people leave the network? The value of the network comes down. You can't have that, because if we had too many people leaving, and we've already had China and Russia selling their treasuries, not getting in the game the last 15 years since really the breaking of the system in 2008. So you can't have many more people leave the system, because at some point, 1%, 0.5%, 2% of the society, 3% wake up and they say, yeah, this currency isn't backed by anything. And that's called hyperinflation. That's called your money's going to zero. Your currency is going to zero. That's what hyperinflation is. It's a loss of currency power or confidence in your currency. So the value of the network goes to zero. We're dang near close to zero. And we've already lost 99% of the purchasing power in the last 112 years, 113 years since the Federal Reserve. And I said a few years ago, and I believe it will come true, we will lose another 99% over the next decade or so, maybe next decade and a half. We just had I think we said it earlier when Rajat was on, the government put out its own report saying debt will be $63 trillion by 2036. That's another 50% increase in the debt. Another 50% increase. And do we think that that conservative estimate by the government is going to stand? Does that include any more wars, any more black swans, any more massive locking up of the government? No, of course not. It's probably 100 trillion by 2035, 2040. And at some point, theoretically, so you're going to have all that inflation in that meantime, all that inflation. So your purchasing power is going to be cut in half or maybe by 99%, right? Over that time period. But all the ramifications, everything that comes because of that. Bitcoin going through the roof, obviously, and becoming very obvious to society. And that's what speeds it up. But what percent of population does it take to actually understand what's happening? Because it doesn't take 90%, it doesn't take 50%, it takes a couple percent. Just like the Revolutionary War, like we said earlier. A couple people got up and actually grabbed the musket and said, yeah, no more. I'm not doing this. Sorry, not doing this. Now we don't have to. We proverbially can grab the musket by studying Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin. That's why this is very different. All this to be said, this is why Bitcoin is not a high tech beta stock play, high beta tech stock play. It's anything but that. It's the properties of Bitcoin that make it radically different. The decentralization, the permissionlessness, the trustless nature, the protocol, the technology, the nodes, the mining, the security could not be any different than just buying a stock, which is diluted. They print shares of it. You don't actually own it. You can't custody it. You don't get to actually own the shares of the company. Do you actually have them in your pocket? Are they transferable? Can I use them as money? I mean, that's the world. But you're told, well, Bitcoin doesn't give any cash flow. It doesn't do anything. Right. I don't need cash flow. I come from the real estate world. Cash flow is there designed. It's the little carrot designed to keep you in the fiat system. Hey, get a little, see that PE ratio? See that dividend you got? See that cash flow? See that, you own that, you got that business there. Did you get your disbursement? All these things are there because you need it. As Robert Kiyosaki has said many times, I don't have to sell it because I don't need to sell my hard assets, right? My Bitcoin, I don't need to sell it. That's a whole different world. Another time for a different day. Because money is money. Your money, you shouldn't have to, and this goes back to all the asset prices coming down when the monetary premium is sucked out and goes to the Bitcoin network, the Bitcoin protocol. Now everything becomes more affordable because I'm not running out and going to try to grab 100 houses to be my bank account. I'm not trying to go out and buy 7,000 different bonds because that's my bank account now. It puts everyone on the same side of the table and starts to heal society because there is a hole. There's a hole punched in the oil well at the top of the stream, and it's now infected everything downstream. And I've said many times before, everyone's got pool skimmers down 10 miles down the stream trying to clean the river out instead of going up to the top of the river and trying to just shut the oil off, giving ourselves sound money. Money was here long before governments, and it's going to be here long after governments. We've been fooled into thinking that governments are the ones that create money. Oh, we're so benevolent. Oh, you great government. That somehow in here, it's the Constitution or these Magna Carta, like, oh, government, they're the ones that give us money. Where does it say that exactly? Because that's anywhere, it couldn't be further from the truth. Money comes from value exchange between two people. Humans creating value. That's where it comes from. We're in a fight of good and evil and collectivism versus individualism. End of story. What's pumping Bitcoin right now? Why are people hating on it? But what is pumping Bitcoin? It could be anything. But that's the whole point of all this. People get caught up in the macro. They get caught up or the micro. And you have to worry more about the zooming out. People get caught up in the day-to-day, and they get caught up in the little movements, and they miss the forest from trees, like we talked about earlier. Why do people miss the greatest gains of DCAing? Because they sell out too early. They sell out, they do ridiculous stuff, they get caught with shiny objects, and then everyone gets caught swimming naked because they realize, oh, I don't actually own real assets. These are only going up at the rate of currency printing. So when you actually zoom out and understand you own the hardest money to ever exist, then all you got to do is sit tight. Don't let activity bias get you. Don't let activity bias get you. It's tough. Patience is a virtue, but it's tough. It feels like, oh, other people are doing things and there's other things going on. I could be doing this, I could be doing that. No, you don't. When you have the winning trade, when you have the winning money, when you have Bitcoin, when you studied, you have your conviction, when you know what you own, when you know what you believe and believe what you know, then you get the spoils of war. People say, that's not fair. Bitcoin's centralized. Well, so is Malibu real estate. So is Manhattan. My family didn't come over and get a bunch of Miami real estate and Malibu real estate and Manhattan real estate. You don't see me sitting here complaining about it though. I could still go buy it. You could buy a piece for $10 million. Well, that'll be Bitcoin someday. Bitcoin will be $10 million. And the same person 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, will be able to buy it for $10 million or $5 million or probably $50 million or $100 million at that point. It'll be $100 million per Bitcoin. Because more and more people, as they wake up to what's actually happening over time, will realize, I need a piece of this digital real estate, this digital Manhattan, ironically, as Michael Saylor said. That's the game that's being played. That's the game theory that's playing out. It's just very unevenly distributed right now. It's very hard to see. When you zoom out, when you go fast forward 20 years and you look back, it's going to become very obvious. Like again, we mentioned software, what's playing out. Abstract power versus real power. I do believe Jason Lowery's thesis is playing out right now. He's been sending out cryptic tweets, everything. The Trump cyber strategy is very similar to Jason Lowery's strategy, but this is software versus hard war. We are entering a new phase. The global order is shifting. And it's time to wake up. It's time to get on board. It's time to educate ourselves. Trini, what's good, everybody? Van Landy, so good to see everybody. VD Berg, Bitcoin, ERA. Remember, there's 240,000 sats. 200, what is it? You guys might know. 250,000 sats per person in the world. That's it. That's it. That's all there is. You better make sure you're studying and custodying your Bitcoin. Custody your Bitcoin, put it on your stamp seed, put it away nice and safely, and be patient. The promise of Bitcoin is that a guy working at McDonald's and a doctor, if they don't act appropriately, one can still get ahead. The McDonald's worker can still get ahead. Fixing the incentives in society. If the doctor makes 10 Bitcoin each year, but saves none, and the McDonald's worker earns 2 Bitcoin a year, but saves 1 each year and saves more than he spends, who will have more at the end of 10 years? Who will be wealthier at the end of 10 years? The McDonald's worker will have 10 Bitcoin at the end of 10 years. The doctor will have none. In the future, Bitcoin will only be worked for or mined. That is it. Right now, we have the benefit of being able to purchase Bitcoin. We can purchase it right now. We won't have that ability forever. Studying Bitcoin, this is the opportunity now. The next couple years, the next 5 years, 10 years is the opportunity right now, right this point, right this second. Getting it under 500,000, getting it under $1 million, getting it under $2 million. This is the opportunity right now because of the properties of the system. It's because of the properties, because of the first principle thinking, because of the laws of nature, the laws of thermodynamics. This is the thing at the end of the day. People always say, well, you Bitcoin maximalists. Bitcoin maximalism is a false trope. I'm here in Bitcoin because it has the properties I'm looking for in life, not because it's Bitcoin. I was real estate guy. I was politics guy. Then I was real estate guy. Then I was gold and silver guy while I was real estate guy. But facts changed. So I must change. I must humble myself to life changing. If there is something that comes along better, if aliens come down and give me a new element to the periodic table that I don't know exists, and we now have a better Bitcoin somehow, then I will move to that world. We don't have that. There is precisely 0 assets or protocols on this earth that are better money, a globally digital. Look at this. Okay. People say, well, we could have gold and silver. We're going to back it with gold, or with, we're going to have gold and silver backed by, or a stable coin backed by gold and silver. Sorry. That can be our thing. We're going to have this world. We're going to have this digital currency that's backed like a stable coin or a USDC or some type of CBDC. It's going to be backed by gold though. Okay. Let's play this out. How are we going to trust that it's backed by gold and silver? How are we going to track by that? Because again, for thousands of years, gold and silver was the best thing we had. You had to mine it. You couldn't print more of it. Government can't print it. Oil, we've had the petrodollar. It was these things that were, okay, the government can't print it. So it kind of ties us to this reality, which is great. And that's what we need. But you're just recreating the problem if you have a stable coin or some digital currency backed by gold and silver. Because now you enter a couple problems. You enter the oracle problem of trusting the person. You have to trust someone physically on earth to then tie it to the digital chain. So we have an oracle problem. And we also have a problem where, do I know it has the properties that keep it decentralized, secure, trustless, permissionless? Will it be so now you're inserting the physical world into this. And as Gigi wrote about this 6 years ago, there's two types of monies in the world: physical tokens and a digital ledger. So if you're going to get rid of physical tokens, which again, physical tokens work locally, like just you and I trading, okay, great, that's perfect. But if you tell me we need a digital, or we need a global commerce, global monetary system, we need to do transactions across the world, and we must have that. Because if we're not going to have that, if we decide, you know what, we're not going to do this thing, which again is ridiculous on surface, because of course, game theory, we're going to have a global monetary system. But if you told me that we didn't have one, or we're not going to have one, then yes, gold and silver would work. This is coming from a gold and silver guy. But facts change. When you realize the only way to have global commerce instantaneously with final settlement, without the shenanigans and middlemen in between, and the payments and the fees and the security of it, and moving the gold and silver from place to place through time or through space, well, that's where all the shenanigans happen. That's where I now have to insert trust into the equation. I now have to trust middleman. I now have to trust the bank. I now have to trust the Brinks guy. I now have to trust XYZ person to do that thing. That's why, again, gold and silver didn't work. This is why the stable coins or the currency backed by gold and silver won't work, because you're entering all these massive attack surfaces to the system. The entry of the system will collapse in on itself, because at some point, as Satoshi said, the breaches of that trust become too much. You can't trust the governments. You can't trust the banks. You can't trust the middlemen, because those middlemen get corrupted at some point. Even if they're good, they could start out good for a year, for 10 years, for 100 years. It doesn't even matter. They could start out great. Just give it the best chances in the world. And they're the best people on earth with the highest character and morality. It still eventually fails. That's the whole point. That's where Bitcoin comes in. Bitcoin is the backing. You don't have to have a stablecoin backed by something of value. You have the Bitcoin because it's mined or worked for. Someone had to spend their time and energy in order to bring the Bitcoin into existence. Or right now we have the beauty, like we said, of having prior capital, USD or whatever government currency of your choice, and then purchasing Bitcoin. That will eventually go away. You'll only be able to work or earn it. Again, all three options right now currently are because of time and energy, resources. They don't just spring into existence. They aren't just pre-mined like every other altcoin or garbage out there. Satoshi had to mine the Bitcoin. He had to spend real world time, energy, capital in order to receive the Bitcoin, to mine it into existence. This is why the entire thing works. This is why, as time goes on, education continues to increase about Bitcoin. People move to Bitcoin. This is why billionaires are in Bitcoin. They're not going to other chains and other, putting their company there and their treasury. That's not why. Because why would I move it to some other thing that has bigger attack surfaces? So this is the game that's being played. The game theory that's playing out. And it's going to continue playing out. Bitcoin's going to continue eating it unless, like we said, things change. I'm a Bitcoiner because I'm open-minded. That's why I'm in Bitcoin in the first place. So if facts change, then I must change. But until or unless that changes, and I've seen nothing even remotely close. There's no new elements I know of from aliens, FUD with quantum energy. Bitcoin uses the most renewable energy in the world. It's cleaning up flared gas, stranded energy. It's cleaning up the environment. It's doing the exact opposite of what people say. The quantum stuff is shilled generally by people promoting their quantum tokens, and they're promoting this and that. You're telling me, like we said this earlier, you're telling me that you trust the government over people that are who has no incentive to protect your money, except the people in Bitcoin, they're all economically incentivized to protect their own money. So who would I choose there? And if you're telling me that quantum's a risk to Bitcoin and it's going to just go around the military and all the government institutions and all the existing banking institutions, doesn't that tell you exactly what you need to know? Again, first principle thinking would tell you that's probably the signal in all the noise. That's probably the thing I should keep my eyes on. That's probably the thing I should study, Bitcoin, because it's the thing that governments have a really big problem with. And if you want agency and freedom and wealth and retirement in your life, then you might want to care about that. If you don't, then hey, go to Chase Bank. Go use the USD. Stay on the dollar Titanic. Those are options too. But we're entering a world very rapidly of divergence, divergence of information, citadels and freedom cities. And then over here you have CBDCs, UBI, and slavery. So let's just call it what it is, right? We're all big. We're all adults here. Very rapidly entering that world. This is the way. I've been buying Bitcoin every day since 2020 from 16,000 all the way up to 126. It's about how much Bitcoin you have, DCA and hold. Keep it simple. And that's why I said this earlier about the McDonald's worker and the doctor. These two things. You can't and you shouldn't have to be a hedge fund manager in order to get ahead in life and just save the time and energy that you've worked and expended away from your family. Think about that. You have to go away from your family. You spend your time and energy and then you put it in a bucket that has a hole in it. That's government currencies. You put your time and energy and you pour it into this bucket with a hole in it. That's inflation. That's a government currency. Or you can use your finite time and energy. And the only other equal thing I know to my finite time and energy on earth is finite Bitcoin. I pour it into a bucket with no hole and it continually fills up every single day. And as we've said here with many examples, Rajat showed it on the charts. Now we've got many people here showing these examples of their own life of DCAing over the last 5 years, 6 years, 4 years, and they're getting wealthier. The bucket continues to fill up. No one can print it. No one can steal it from them. No man should be forced to use a currency that steals from them. Why would I ever do that? That's so insane. My YouTube page is just Brandon_Gentili. So Rajat does his kind of one-on-one videos or one with the audience. And then I do podcasts with everybody. We just recorded the podcast with Rajat earlier. And then I do the live streams. I do these Mondays and Fridays. So it's just Brandon_Gentili, my name. And we do our live streams, a couple live streams a week. Like I said, we do one with BT Sessions on Wednesday. I do a live stream on Tuesday with Rajat, Jor, and Forrest, and Robin Sear. I think I said everyone, Robin, Rajat, Jor, and Forrest. And then so we do that on Tuesdays. And then I do my live streams on Monday and Friday. And then we have podcasts with people in the Bitcoin and sound money space on Thursdays and Sundays. So I appreciate you. Appreciate you a lot. So yeah, it's just Brandon_Gentili. I can put a link in here to it. Blessed Exile. Great seeing you, all of you guys. Billy Hoddle. Hillbilly Hoddle, sorry. We pulled up a couple of your comments earlier. TRH917. Just keep stacking. Trini. What is good, guys? Just a little hangout. The job we have right now is, what are we convicted in? Understanding what we own. Know what you own. Know what you believe and believe what you know is the conviction. Bear markets are great times to reconvict yourself, to understand what you own, what's actually happening in the world. Do your homework. Study. Help others. Keep the main thing. Government is never going to stop printing currency, as we've outlined earlier. Going to keep going up to the right forever. Up to the right, up and to the right, and Bitcoin's price will mirror that exactly and keep going up and right to the ever in USD until the USD collapses in on itself, which we've explained earlier as well, gradually then suddenly. People will eventually realize what is happening. This takes some time. It takes a little time. It's only been 17 years. It took gold hundreds and thousands of years to assert itself and become the global standard. It took a long time. Bitcoin's only been 17 years and it's gone this quick. So again, this whole thing, and what I do here a lot, and I know what Rajat does too, is zoom out. Zoom out. Pause. Take a deep breath. There's no getting rich overnight. Even the early Bitcoiners didn't get rich overnight. Look, a lot of them, some of them, sold their coins just over the last 2 years. They were in it for 10 years, 15 years. Like, hey, if USD is still around 15 years from now, and you bought today for the first time in 15 years, you're worth millions of USD because USD is still around. Good on you. I'd sell a little bit too and get out and, or maybe lend against it, right? And keep using that arbitrage of the failing fiat debt. Use the fiat debt against the system, the speculative attack. As Bitstein and Pierre Rochard wrote about a long time ago. And what Michael Saylor's doing. That's what he's doing, is stretch and strike and all these assets that he has, that he's compiling, these different offerings. They're speculative attacks on the system. People are worried about the Clarity Act and the banking. Saylor is the bank. He's got 11% yield on his stuff. I mean, this is why capital is moving to Saylor and moving to Stretch, moving to these different offerings, the different preferreds and different things he has. So that's All of it's there, and all the tools are there. If you want privacy, if you want, it's all on Bitcoin. It's all there. The education is unevenly distributed. If you have questions about this stuff, go to BTC Sessions channel. Go check out BTC Mentor and what they're doing. They'll teach you about anything. You know, Bitcoin Way, those guys. Go to their channels. Go to those companies. You know, we have a Bitcoin Way link. The couple of the Bitcoin only. You appreciate you guys over the months and years here supporting us, this channel. Supporting the Bitcoin only sponsors in the description we have here, like the Bitcoin Way, all these guys, Bitcoin Mentor, Club Orange for Bitcoiners only. And meanwhile, insurance, Stamp Seed, make yourself sovereign. You are outside the grips. You're outside. You are not beholden to them. Talk about FU money. It is FU money if you do it the right way. If you're still in Brian Armstrong's Coinbase, or if you're still in an ETF or something like that, well, guess what? That's not FU money. Everyone's got to do their own thing. Everyone has to do what's best for them. But to me, in my opinion, defunding the system, defunding the legacy-based, debt-based monetary system is the greatest thing. And the greatest way to do that is to suffocate it through self-custody. Take those coins out, take those sats out, put them in cold storage, get them in the Stamp Seed. You got all kinds of discounts in the description below for whoever wants the stuff. Appreciate you guys supporting the show, supporting the channel, supporting Bitcoin-only products. So I appreciate that. It's why we do what we do. Is to move this forward. I have 4 kids. I've got a wife. I've got families, mom and dad, in-laws, brothers and sisters. This is why we do it. This is why. It's a culture. It's a movement. It's freedom. It's not because I'm going to make $7. I don't want dollars. We're going to do this and that. No, put all this stuff in sats. Got a couple people that work our team that do the videos, that help me on the back end of this so I can do this, so I can spend time with my family still, my kids, and we homeschool the kids and do this stuff. And to put these shows on, to put the podcasts out, pay people in Bitcoin. That's the way. And it's going to keep building with things like Square, what Jack Dorsey's doing, and people coming out with all kinds of stuff, the Francois Pouliot's and all the different Bitcoin companies. And what's actually happening behind the scenes, people are going to be stunned in the coming years. Bitcoin, the payment terminals with Jack Dorsey and Square, what's happening there, and the fees going away, that cost being passed, that cost going away, and then the winnings going to the consumer and the business owner. I mean, it's incredible what's happening, but many people are sleeping on it. It's because there's a reason there's so much FUD and there's so little information globally about Bitcoin, because governments don't want you to know. Why would they want you to know? It doesn't behoove them to let you know. The ironic part is it actually does, the people inside the government, but the government as an entity doesn't like it. The government as an entity doesn't like Bitcoin because it can't control it. But the people in the government will benefit. That's the ironic part, because they themselves will benefit, and their families will benefit. Their nation will benefit. So they have a higher standard of living, lower costs everywhere. Even if they're, the Pelosi trade tracker and all that, and they're still worth tons of money because they're insider trading, that will continue to go away as they can't print more money. But even them living in this world, Elon Musk, again, fast forward out, again, zoom out again. This is what we try to do here a lot. Even Elon Musk said, when things become that cheap, when you have deflation, so you better, this is the crazy part. We have deflation already. We've had it. It's called human progress and technology increasing all the time. So what are we going to do when money doesn't even exist? Or he said money might not even exist because technology would get so good and we'll have so much deflation, which I thought we couldn't have deflation. The central banks and the politicians have told us we can't have deflation because we're talking in 2 different worlds. Technically, in this inflationary debt-based monetary system, the US dollar network, you can't have deflation because the system will implode. But if you had Bitcoin, if you actually had a money, a protocol that measured and captured all that deflation, you actually win. You actually win. You get wealthier over time. You keep accruing Bitcoin and everything keeps falling in price of Bitcoin. That's where the reframe comes. When you see that in 2016, the median price home was $250,000, but it cost 400 Bitcoin. And then 4 years later, in 2020, the median price home was $350. So it cost an extra $100,000. $350,000 to get the median price home, same home, but it only cost 40 Bitcoin instead of 400. And then just in the last year or two, it was $450,000 to get the same home, another $100,000 again. However, it cost you 4 Bitcoin to get that same home. And this process is going to play out over and over and over again. If you save in Bitcoin, study Bitcoin first, save in Bitcoin, get it off exchanges, put in the stamp seed, save, make sure you're taking care of your seed, your seed phrase, your passphrase. Do that, and it gets cheaper for you. And then you're not worrying about deflation. You're not worrying about AI. You are then using these things to your advantage. And your life gets happier. You have more time with your family and friends. You're off the hamster wheel. You don't have to work as much. Your relationship grows with your spouse again. You have more friends. You have more time. You get to go to Bitcoin conferences and, other Bitcoiner friends, hang out here more. It's pretty amazing. Think of other things, your passion, your calling, things you want to do in life that you weren't able to do before because you had to go to that crappy job that you didn't want to go to, but you just had to put bills on the table, had to just use your expenses, or all the expenses just kept going up every single month all the time. So you had to just do the job you hated because you had to get back on the hamster wheel because inflation just kept going. That doesn't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way. Yeah, the Bitcoin's already over 1 million Mexican pesos. And there's many, Ira. There's many that it's over 1 million. I mean, look what happened to Iran recently. I think it was, Turkey and Lebanon, obviously in the last few years, having massive issues, spiking massively. And that's the amount of currency because they've printed so much. They've printed so much currency that the same house, the same Bitcoin still the same, but costs more. Bitcoin didn't have a price 16 years ago. Bitcoin Pizza Day, May 22nd, 2010, didn't have a price. Laszlo bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. Didn't have a price. And now it's 75,000 US trash tokens. Think about that. Went from no price, free market to $75,000. And people are sitting here telling me it's a high beta tech stock. It's come on. It's going to die. It's going to this and that. Have the properties changed? Has anything changed? Is the government stopped printing currency that I'm aware of? Are they going to stop? Are they going to stop taking us to war? I mean, either way, it doesn't matter. They're going to keep doing what they're designed to do. The currency has to print itself into oblivion. Every government fiat currency has gone to zero without fail in all of human history. They are mathematically designed to do that. And that's why Bitcoin is designed mathematically to go up in value forever. It'll keep sucking in all the monetary premium around the world and all the fiat currencies. Doesn't mean that fiat currencies it won't exist ever, or there won't ever be any fiat currencies. And we just talked to Rajat about this. Government currencies, might still be around, probably still be around in some forms, but in many of those places, Bitcoin will be the check against it. It'll be the thing that people transact in. Big, companies, entities transact in Bitcoin. That'll be the rails that it actually transacts in, because there won't be sanctions. I don't have to ask the government. I don't have to ask Chase Bank. I don't have to ask Russia or China or the US. I don't have to ask any of these people whether I can transact or not, whether I can send a wire or not. There won't be the fees. I got to pay $35 to send my own money across the Swift network or, ACH and all this stuff. Like, come on. Like, what world do you think this is going to actually happen? It won't. The older generations, God love them, will be gone from the halls of power. The younger generation, my children, know the difference is between Bitcoin, gold, silver, fiat currencies. They won't be using that old legacy world. They won't be using it. So that's why now, the next 10 years is the greatest opportunity of our lives to study Bitcoin, to understand how it works, to suck power from the old system, to get off the Titanic onto the Bitcoin life raft. Now is the time. Yeah, Rajat is good. Rajat keeps it. Rajat is great, Eman. Grateful to call him a friend, that's for sure. And all of you. Because, like I said in the thing, I didn't know all of you existed 6 years ago or whatever it was, 5 years ago. I didn't know everyone existed that thought like this, that thought like me. And we don't want to be in our echo chambers necessarily. I try to do a lot to listen to other people and listen to other different echo chambers and make sure I'm checking myself. Like as I said earlier, Bitcoiners are open-minded. Bitcoiners have to go through the fatal funnel, have to go through the gauntlet. You have to. You don't just wake up one day as a Bitcoiner understanding what's going on in the world. You just don't. Bitcoiners only become Bitcoiners through humility, openness to change, openness to facts changing, and hard work. Period. End of story. There's no other way. There's literally no other way. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. You have to go through the fatal funnel. You got to go through the kill door, the fatal funnel, go through the gauntlet, whatever you want to call it, buds. You got to go through it. Many are called, few are chosen. Which goes back to there's going to be a few percent of people that pull the rest of society forward. This is just generally how it's always been done. American Revolution is the same way. This will be no different. A few percent of people will understand it. They'll get it. They'll become the people in power. They'll be the ones building on Bitcoin and move the world forward and move onto that standard. Governments are not going to, willy-nilly accept it, even though it benefits the people in the government, the people inside. The government itself, the collective entity itself, won't believe it's good for itself and will fight every step of the way. Freedom is not given. It is taken. It's not granted. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, Tommy Carpenter. It's nice to hear. I wish everyone knew this. Yeah, I appreciate that. Bitcoin will perform well because we know government will keep doing dumb things. If Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, which it has for 17 years, we also know government will keep doing dumb things. That means A plus B equals C. Again, these things are all just common sense. Maybe not common sense necessarily, but it's first principle thinking. Nature's law, laws of thermodynamics. That's how we need to be looking at these things. When you put all the different protocols and assets against that, that's where Bitcoin shines. That's where truth really starts to come out. Is that Vandy Dandy? Was that Terrence Howard the other day on PBD? That was one of the most embarrassing interviews I've ever seen. PBD, smart dude, but like, where are you doing, man? Like, I got 1% of my portfolio in Bitcoin, and Terrence Howard is over there. Like, he seemed like someone had like something up to the back of his head, if you know what I mean. And someone was like telling him what to say. That was like the most unconfident interview I've ever seen in my life. Of, well, I wouldn't touch it. I don't know. It's going to zero. Like, what? I mean, that was just clown world. Terrence needs to come listen to this hour and a half that we've all spent here together. Hopefully you guys would agree. I think you would get something out of it. You should listen to the actor and sell all that. Yeah. I mean, like, come on. I keep trying to tell my friends not to buy a house and buy Bitcoin. I bought a home a few years ago. I'm sure they think I'm hating on them, but don't want anyone to have a home. Yeah. So it's funny you say that because I was a real estate guy for 10 years, right? So I was helping people buy and sell homes. I was investing in homes, doing all that stuff, apartments. And I would tell people all the time, like, I would discourage clients from getting homes. This is why I eventually had to get out of real estate, because I wasn't doing myself any favors in real estate. I was actually I was just hurting myself. And I was telling people like, no, I would get Bitcoin. I would study sound money. I would put my assets elsewhere, my money elsewhere. So I was actively hurting people. And when I do Facebook Lives and I do Instagram Lives like this, I would get people all the time that were like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what's your actual job? Like, what do you do? And I was like, well, I'm a real estate guy. Like, what do you mean? I've been doing this for 7 years or whatever it was at the time. And eventually I realized, oh no, I'm kind of cannibalizing my own market, but I couldn't help it. It was just like, I was going to tell you the truth. Like, this is what I would do. This is what I am doing. Like, if you want to do it, sure, I'll help you with the transaction. And we did a lot of work over the 10 years. And I think we sold 5 or 6, 600 homes of, people that, wanted help. And I tell them like, hey, this is what I believe in and blah, blah, blah. But, hey, people need to do stuff. So we'd help people that, they job changes and things happen in their family. So stuff would happen. But we did over the years, we did have a few people say, yeah, I'm not buying a home and I'm, buying Bitcoin. And then here we are, 8 years later or whatever, and looking pretty good. So inject this rant straight into my veins. Oh man, I love it. This isn't Rajat. It's not. You're right. You were right, Jor. Rajat was on the first 40 minutes. And then he had to run. He had a meeting. He was on a minute ago. The actor from the OC. Yeah. He even made a documentary about it. Jeez. Holy cow. Yeah, I know Rajat has a great community. Let's go. Donald Jefferson, StackSats, multi-billionaire, Satoshionaire. I will say, whenever I see athletes sign contracts, it's funny because I always like denominate in Bitcoin, or I think like, oh yeah, you have no Bitcoin though. Like I know everyone here in this chat is more in this chat, not Chad. I know everyone in this chat is wealthier than X, Y, and Z athlete that just signed a multi-million-dollar contract. I just like laugh. I just like giggle inside every time I see it because I'm like, oh boy, you poor son of a gun. You poor son of a gun. So that's going to be the real wealth. That's for sure. Trini, yeah, government is criminals. That's for sure. It's legalized criminality, unfortunately. Small group of future billionaires right here, right? Small group of 100 future billionaires all in this chat right now. At the end of the day, a sailor will have to sell some Bitcoin to have gains, unless you think it will just keep borrowing and Bitcoin keeps going up. This is why People say, yeah, pure life. I mean, this is where, like, again, at what point is the saturation point hit? And Saylor, there's going to be no more USD at some point. I mean, again, people, I mean, I've had many people just like, they scoff at that and they laugh. Like, every government currency has gone to zero. That can't stop being repeated. Every government currency has gone to zero in all of human history. Do we need to say it again? At some point, the US dollar will cease to exist in its current form. It might come up with someone else. I mean, look at Argentina. They've had like 6 in the last 30 years. Zimbabwe's had a couple in the last, a couple decades. They might keep trying stuff, but like, it won't exist. It's already lost 99% of its purchasing power in the last 112 years. This is inevitable. So at some point, Saylor going to have to switch strategies at some point, regardless. I mean, things will change absolutely. I know he talks about digital credit and all this stuff. I'm not smart enough. That's above my pay grade, Stretch and Strike and all these. I mean, Jor's in here. We'll have to talk about that going forward. Jor might know, and Rajat, some of the other guys that are beyond 80 IQ. That I don't know what happens when dollars don't exist. Credit, all this stuff. Like, how does that transition? Not that credit won't happen or you won't have loans in the Bitcoin system, because you will, but how does what he's doing change? How does the credit work in that system? Is the flywheel gone? At that point, will it matter though? Will it actually matter? Like, he'll probably be creating products and services and doing other things, so it won't even matter, right? If you're a bank, or he's doing something to the effect of around that area of being a bank, then yeah, he might have the Bitcoin. So hey, I'm gonna give you a loan. It's a 2-to-1 collateral. A lot of like the loans we're seeing now, right? You have interest rates coming down, but it'll be based on equity. It'll be based on, hey, I actually have the thing. I've actually got the goods. I'm not just basing off of my own credit score and like, hey, am I worthy to borrow? It'll be, no, I have Bitcoin, and it's a 2-to-1. So anyway, that'll be the world where we'll have to get into that more, because I think that's an interesting thing to kind of play out in the future. Future millionaires are billionaires with a mission. Yeah, so true. Berkshire Hathaway is so high, no one will buy it. Don't see Bitcoin. Can't go too high because no one wants to point throw on everything. So Rajat, like we said earlier, Pure Life, is Rajat said that he thinks when it hits 1 million, when you have 1 cent to 1 sat, you're going to have people hit a breaking point. Well, people will start realizing, holy cow. And you're going to have younger demographic. Remember, dumber things happening in the world. Bitcoin keeps going up. Like, you're going to have this world. Education keeps getting out. We keep doing these live streams, right? Jor keeps doing his thing. Rajat, everyone. Simply Bitcoin's out there. And Natalie and Danny Knowles, what Bitcoin did, right? Everyone that's out there. Bitcoin Well, Adam O'Brien, every single person that's out there doing what they are doing, BTC Sessions and Nathan and Joey from Canadian Bitcoiners. Like, I could name 100 people, right? Some of you guys will become, writing books, blogging at some point in the future here, doing your own content. Like, the more this gets out there and the more people see this, it ain't going back. Toothpaste ain't going back in the tube. As we say here, we ain't going back. So yeah, I mean, right now, Pure Life right now, yeah, a lot of people don't. They have unit cost bias, but they will in the future. They'll be forced to. That's the thing I don't think people understand. So there was TXMC used to be someone who unfortunately got a little bit black pill on Twitter. He's got like 100,000 followers. I was just talking to him today a little. We used to be on the Cafe Bitcoin, spit down on Bitcoin. And so he's just like, if you guys think that Bitcoin is going to like just take over the system, blah, blah, blah. And it's easy to be black-pilled. It's very easy to be black-pilled, but that's what the devil wants. The devil wants you to quit, roll over, put your head in the sand, give up. That's the easy way, because then the devil doesn't do anything. Only when you still have some breath in you and you get back off the mat, you get up on the horse and say, over my dead body. That's when things change. The couple percent said, sorry, King, we're not going to accept your letter of peaceful mutual agreement. Sorry, we're not doing it. They didn't just let the British come and take their weapons cache at Lexington and Concord. That ain't happening. Freedom's taken. It's not granted. I mean, again, I don't think a lot of people grasp this concept enough. All currencies fail. Government is going to print us in oblivion. Freedom is not given, it's taken. And people will be forced. There won't be choices. There will be a couple percent of people who will pull everyone across the line. It's not optional at the end of the day. And if something comes along that's better, like we said earlier, then we will migrate to that thing, right? I am not closed off. Bitcoin maximalism is a farce. It's a false meme. It's not real. Bitcoiners are only Bitcoiners because they're open-minded, because they see the forest in the trees, because they think from first principles, because they see 20 years down the line. That's the only reason. This is like the hidden secret in all of like Bitcoin. Like altcoiners, USD apologists, gold and silver bugs, they like, oh, you crazy idiot Bitcoiners, you're maximalist, like you're closed-minded. It's like anything but. I'm only here because I'm open-minded. I looked at the altcoins. I was into altcoins 10 years ago, right when I got in, and I quickly got out of them after a year or two of studying more and realizing, what the heck am I doing? I'm completely vulnerable with the properties of the things I'm holding. Out. This is a humility play. I was wrong. I moved. If I'm wrong in the future, I will move. I'm not religious about my money. I'm not married to, I want the hardest and strongest properties possible. That's it. Working in harmony. What if nuclear reactors make energy essentially cost-free in the future? Then what happens to mining if it becomes effortless? Will the hash rate just go up exponentially to compensate? I mean, to be totally honest, I think there will be a purge of Bitcoin mining in the future. Like we'll have ebbs and flows, I should say. Like it's going to go down, it's going to go up. Like we probably need some purge. We need some more decentralization. But these things will happen. They will happen. I was listening to, if you guys haven't listened to Francis Poliat of Bull Bitcoin and NVK of CoinKite and Cold Card, they're on with Ben and Nathan of BTC Sessions channel, and they were talking about patience. It's funny because I've been thinking about this word so much, and then they just said the word in this 2-hour pod they did from this past week, and it's phenomenal, right? They're talking about all the back end of Bitcoin, the tools, and everything's there, everything's available, everything's that, but it's patience. Some of the reason that some of these things don't exist yet, or they're a little more clunky and they don't work quite as well as we want them to, is because they're not needed yet. People aren't asking for them. But pain is a great teacher, and necessity is a mother of all invention. When Donald Trump got kicked off, like him, love him, or hate him, doesn't matter. But when he got kicked off of Twitter, what happened? We had Parler come up. That went down. Elon Musk bought Twitter. Nostr came up. Nostr, depending if you're a Nostr or Nostr fan. So these things happen because other bad things happen. What happens when the Canadian trucker event happened, or Dutch farmers? What happens when the Ukraine war started? People migrate to Bitcoin. They walk to a different country with their Bitcoin seed phrase in their head. These things happen because dumb things happen in life. So it's a mixture of education, time, and dumb things happening. Max Payne. And it's coming. We can guarantee that. The main problem is that a normal person won't put up any money to get 0.1 in Bitcoin. No one will do that. We talked about that already. Pure Life. They will. People will be forced to. Don't worry. Because of those reasons we just talked about. What if nuclear reactors are energy are essentially cost-free in the future? Yeah. So yeah, this is something we'll have to explore more too. So I know we just pulled this up a minute ago, but yes, if it's cost-free in the future, again, remember, people are incentivized to uphold the integrity of the network, right? So imagine you become wealthier and wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, and you just becoming wealthier and wealthier. We have the difficulty adjustment, right? The difficulty adjustment is the killer app in all this, because no matter where the hash rate is, the difficulty adjustment goes to that level. It's the beauty of all this. So if a bunch of people, mining is very cutthroat, which is great. That's awesome. But so if people leave, then it adjusts to that level. It's pretty amazing. So if you have a ton of hash rate, then it's going to be harder and harder and harder. And it's still a lottery. It doesn't matter how much power you have, how much wattage, right? It's still a lottery at the end of the day. It's what also democratizes and decentralizes the mining in and of itself as well. It's not just, oh, my rigs are, everything is stronger, and I have more wattage and I can overrun the system. Again, some of the beauties of mining and how Satoshi was able to put this in decades of cypherpunks, cryptographers thinking of these things. And it's really, from so many angles, it's just such a plan of genius. But my whole point was, we're incentivized. The economic actors in Bitcoin are incentivized to harden the network, to run mining rigs if they need to, or not run mining rigs. And the difficulty adjustment will go accordingly to that. Pure Life, there are 8 billion people, bro. And if you want, wait until you only buy a 0.1. Yeah. Yeah. And remember too, guys, like the last person in Bitcoin still wins. So I haven't said this in a while, but the last person in Bitcoin still wins at the end of the day. Think about this, right? A thought experiment. Again, if you have a world where Everyone keeps buying Bitcoin. So, just like right now, a little bit every day, more and more people are learning. There's one person in this chat today that something clicked for them and they're going to go off and start buying Bitcoin. They'll start study first. Then they're going to eventually go buy Bitcoin. Well, as people keep doing that over time, these people get wealthier over time. They're off the hamster wheel. They get to do their passion more, be with their family more, have more children, get a spouse, etc. Just on and on and on, right? Going through this world where society is then cleaning itself up. Someone turned off the oil spill, the inflationary curse at the top of the river, and now the river is clean again and things start healing. It's like Jesus being in the putting the money changers out of the temple. What happened? As soon as the riffraff was kicked out of the temple, what happened? All the meek, the humble, the lame, the blind started slowly entering the temple again. That's exactly what happens. That's why we say you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. Society begins to heal again naturally because you had the rot taken out of the system. We've been putting band-aids on bullet holes the entire time for decades, and that's now coming off. We're rooting out a voluntary open source protocol. It's not that everyone's on it yet, but over time, as we pull out the bullet and the wound can then heal itself, the people that are last in the system still benefit from Bitcoin. Because if you have a world that's continually healing, less unrest, lower cost, higher standard of living, more technology, more progress, the nuclear reactors, like we said, energy being abundant everywhere. Well, do we think people will be more charitable or less charitable? Do we think more people will be happier with their lives and less likely to go steal from someone else and less likely to be mad? Well, no, probably not, because they're going to have things fairly nice. It's going to be pretty cool, pretty good. So the last person inside of Bitcoin still stands to benefit. The very last person, the 8 billionth person, will benefit from a world healing and incentives healing, and we'll see less homelessness. We'll see less unrest, less people hating their neighbor, mad at the person for voting a certain way. All these things start clearing itself up. So that's a very important point that, again, we tend to forget because we're human. We tend to look very myopic and just zoomed in. All right, you guys are talking about the point one life. I realize we're not going to 1 million. It's not happening. Well, again, I talked about this earlier. We're absolutely going to millions. Governments are going to print forever. Bitcoin stays decentralized and secured, saves 21 million. One's mathematically designed to go up in price forever, which is the Bitcoin, because the other is designed to be printed forever and go to zero. And the opposite, again, the meme of there's no top for Bitcoin because there's only one bottom for fiat and zero. And the inverse of that is infinity. So I like the realism though, pure life. I like the realism because I do think Bitcoiners have a very hard time actually with pragmatism and versus idealism. However, I'm of the belief though that like Steve Jobs created the iPhone and humans didn't know they needed the iPhone. And then he created the iPhone. It's the same thing with Bitcoin. Humans didn't really know or understand, hey, we need a money that can do all this, that has this utility, has this ability to store value, permissionless, trustless, it's outside the system, I don't have to ask anyone, et cetera, right? All the things we've gone through. Humans are starting to understand that, but we don't have the benefit of some great campaign. And again, remember, money is cultural. It's very personal. It's very emotional. So someone telling you and everyone telling you, oh, you need to get this, you need to get Bitcoin. People have to find on their own. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink. Much easier than just buying a $50 phone or a $500 phone or whatever it is. It's a very easy commitment. If it doesn't work, whatever. But if I'm staking my life on it, my time and energy, what I'm working for, that's a whole different story. And that's why this is much harder inherently for human beings. I just take the side of, pragmatically speaking, yes, like a Luke Groman, like we just interviewed him a week or two ago, and I asked him this exact question. You guys can go back and watch my interview with him. And I asked, like, why did you sell out? Like, I get it, you were right in the short term, but I was like, us Bitcoiners, we just believe this is a system that's going to be the future. So I'm going to sit here, and this helps, the promise, like we said earlier, of I don't need to be you, Luke. I don't need to be a trader. No one should have to be a trader. I shouldn't have to be a hedge fund manager. The guy working down the street, the guy digging ditches, the guy working construction, the McDonald's worker, the doctor, the lawyer, they shouldn't have to be also hedge fund manager when they go home. They should just be able to store their money in that bucket that continually fills up over time. And he was like, yeah, I'm like, I agree. He's like, I agree. Like, I think it will be a thing. He's like, I mean, I'm just good at what I do, basically. So like I can get away with it to a degree. But I don't suggest that for 99% of people. Like just give and produce value, products and services, and spend less than you consume and save in Bitcoin. Save in the hardest protocol known to man. That's all we need to think about at the end of the day. And we know these things to be true. Stays decentralized secured, Bitcoin does, and government prints forever. That's a recipe. It's an amazing recipe for Bitcoin. But I do like the pragmatism versus reality and idealism. And Bitcoiners, again, we push the Overton window. Being pragmatic is someone like Luke Groman saying, well, hey, not that he understands, maybe he doesn't understand Bitcoin the greatest, right? But he's more more pragmatic in the sense of, hey, this is what's happening right now. This is what I see actually happening. And he's not emotional. He's not saying, hey, I'm staking my life on the future of this thing. Now, I just disagree. I'm more revolutionary than that. I am staking my life on it, saying, no, this is the way we're going. We're pulling society that way. I'm waiting until Bitcoin hits 39 before I buy how long? Thanks. AMC, I would absolutely not do that. Could Bitcoin go to 39? I mean, yeah, that'd be a gift to earth if we could get cheap sats like that, but I would not at all ever. Every time I've ever seen someone say, hey, I'm waiting until X amount, never ends up well. It ends up usually just taking off the other way. We never see that price again. So that's just my word of warning to you. But hey, you do what you want, but that is not what, again, it's long-term savings. Like we showed the DCA thing multiple times today. It's so incredibly important. Just DCA, buy your Bitcoin, put it on auto stack and just go touch your grass, be with your family, you don't need to be a day trader and do all kinds of crazy stuff. Pure life, real Bitcoiner don't say what they got. Bitcoin will hit 1 million, no question. It's math, bro. Ricky versus World. Yeah, I agree. Then we were just talking about most people will not buy 250,000 Bitcoin anymore. Who do you know that buys Berkshire Hathaway? No one. They are priced out. If Bitcoin goes too high, most people will be priced out. Well, again, Berkshire Hathaway is not pertinent to society, though, right? It's a company or a conglomerate of companies. People will need honest, sound money because, again, it's Bitcoin. At the end of the day, we can put thousands of hours into studying it, but it's also a dumb investment at the same time. It's just money. It's just money that doesn't steal from you. So that is the killer app in and of itself. And as people know about that more and more, Rajat was just saying he was in Turkey. I don't know if he was on the live stream or if it was whatever. He's like, I talked to multiple people there, the taxi drivers. They had massive inflation. He's like, they had no idea about Bitcoin. Like I was talking to all these people and like they didn't know what Bitcoin was. One of them had heard of it. They started studying it, reading Bitcoin Standard. I mean, we are so early. So early. We just, again, in the West, we think we're like, oh, everyone knows about this. This is, oh my gosh, how can you not know? We are so early. That's why I said the next 10 years, a demographic shift and education getting out. Gold took hundreds of years, thousands of years. Government's going to keep printing currency. Again, that's why I keep the main thing. The debt curve is the Bitcoin curve of the dollar price, of the fiat price. Keep the main thing, guys. Don't blackpill yourself. Do not blackpill yourself. So we are cooked or not cooked. Joshua, we are not cooked. We might be cooked in the fiat world, but if you hold Bitcoin and you study Bitcoin and you self-custody your Bitcoin and you focus on your family and the people around you and bettering yourself, sharpening your skills, you are not cooked. Maybe get some firearms, some food storage, some water on the side, just in case. We are not cooked. All is well. Tashpo, is it okay to store Bitcoin on a hot wallet? I can't afford to buy cold storage. If you can't afford to buy cold storage, then yeah, I mean, keep it maybe in a couple different hot wallets. That'd be my advice. Just quick, simple off the head, like put it in a couple different hot wallets. There's a bunch of good hot wallets out there, like there's tons. The Phoenixes, the Wall Satoshis, whatever. There's a tons, go to BTC Sessions channel, go watch a bunch of stuff there, different wallets. I would just disperse it in a handful of different places. And if you can't afford it, do what you can to try to get a cold storage wallet and get that set up. And dispersing the hot wallets would probably be the best thing, at least for the moment, at least just right off the top of my head. We've never been cooked. Oh, man. Yep. Yeah, you guys are killing me. Quite amazing in relatively short amount of time. Wisteria. Yeah, it's true. I'm guessing you were talking about what, we were saying, just kind of outlining everything earlier. People had plenty of time to learn. Panel Trading said, I did a long time ago. Yeah, I mean, It's 17 years, right? Like you're right. I mean, people have had a while to learn. You would think Stanley Druckenmiller, some of these people, you think more people would get it. But like I said earlier, people in Turkey, a lot of people, like most people have never heard of Bitcoin. Most people around the world have not heard. They don't understand. They don't understand. It's good. It's not going to be tomorrow, guys. And this is why we'll continue doing this. The live streams and the podcasts and the books and the writings, everything will continue until morale improves, until price goes up, until we have adoption around the world. I'm telling you that right now. It will continue because we are not out of the woods. This is the great part. We have a ton of opportunity right now. That's why this next 10 years to study Bitcoin, help your family and friends get into Bitcoin, to defund the legacy debt-based monetary system is massive. This next 10-year run is massive, 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 massive. It's going to pass anyway. The next decade will pass anyway. So what are we going to do with it? What are we going to do? I think about my generation, which heard it during the last 10, 15 years, but now they didn't take the time to learn. They will never learn. And that, again, it's just distraction. Chaos and the devil loves chaos and distraction. The devil does not want you wealthy. The devil doesn't want you fulfilled. The devil doesn't want you happy. The devil doesn't want you to know the big guy upstairs, right? Of course. So we're not gonna have all kinds of headlines and governments telling us to buy and companies and a billion people telling us we should do it. It's the recesses of society where people are talking about these things. This is always how it goes. This is why I've been saying the freedom is taken. It's not granted. It's not given. It's not just hanging out in the corner. I just explained a few minutes ago the life after reality to a guy in an elevator, just out here planting seeds. Nice, Wisteria. Good. I love it. The next gen is going to be the one that takes the torch because they're digital natives. Yeah, you're 100% right. Panel trading. Yeah, 100% right. The younger generations will absolutely do it. Oh, so Pure Life. The other thing I was going to say too is that I think that when Rajat was saying that we get to sat parity, this will be the world where we have people starting to realize that it's just sats. Like people will start printing sats on stuff instead of Bitcoin. So a lot of that debate will kind of go away. It'll kind of like fix itself. And I think people will be talking in sats. Because again, remember in 10 years or 8 years or whatever it is, 5 years, you're gonna have a lot more people buying stuff in sats. Just like you go to a lot of places and they have two different currencies or two different monies, they say two different prices next to them, the conversion or whatever. You're gonna have that. Like you're gonna start seeing that around the world. People are gonna start, as people start learning more and more, they're gonna have the conversion right there for people. So you're gonna start seeing this all over the place. And again, it just takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So the 0.004, all that stuff, it won't matter largely, like because it won't play out like that, at least in my opinion. Because I mean, to your point, in a way, you're right, but I think things don't play out quite like that, if that makes sense. Yeah, in this new world coming, fundamentals of currency savings will be different. People will save in Bitcoin and pay in USDT. For sure, aggression will play out, for sure. And especially if there's always government currencies to a degree. I think maybe they're just Bitcoin at some point, but if there's government currencies and people trying to do stuff, even on higher layers of Bitcoin, you're always gonna have people saving in Bitcoin and then operating day to day with their currency, saving in money, Bitcoin, and then operating with currency, which are these other printed tokens. Freedom is not free was a bumper sticker my grandpa had on their door. As a young person, I didn't understand that until later on. She was spot on, 100% Wisteria. Bitcoin aligns with nature, and nature always wins. You got that right, Jor. You got that right. Iman, that was embarrassing. Trini and Iman, you guys are laughing at something, saying something was embarrassing. Did I do something? Maybe I did something. I have no idea. I'm missing in the chat. I don't know what was embarrassing. But I sold my house for Bitcoin. I couldn't be freaking happier. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Good for you. Good for you. At least people want Bitcoin. It won't go to zero. Yeah. And that's just like the irony in all of it, right? It's never going to zero because there's always going to be one person. Like if it goes to zero, then, or, 1 cent, then I will buy all the Bitcoin for whatever that is, for 1 cent each. I sold my Bitcoin, or sold my rental for Bitcoin. Nice. Love that, Trini. Love that. Once I understood Bitcoin, I tried for a long time convincing people that I learned that people who don't want to be held will find any excuse not to do anything weird. 100% too. That's exactly, we talked about this earlier too. Like people want it easy. We don't want to put in work. So as soon as you get one negative thing about Bitcoin, people shut their brain off. They're like, oh, thank you. Love that. Love that you said that. So now I don't have to put any work in. And that's where, and that's where you have the same person that says one negative, like a Terrence Howard on Patrick Bet David, like we just said. He could say 1,000 positive things over a 5-hour interview, and you still have people, most of the world would be like, oh, okay, what does that guy know? Like, that's crazy. But he has one 15-minute segment and he talks, one line of smack or 2 lines of smack, and he gives us some random reason. And people are like, oh yeah, like I agree. Like, yeah, it's such a Ponzi, it's such a, whatever. Like, it's like, oh geez, it's just humans. It's all right. We'll get there. We will get there. It is. I believe Bitcoin, to me, it's an EQ test. It's not an IQ test. It's an EQ test. It's a humility ego test. You have to, like, as the Alvin Toffler, the Future Shock book from 1970 said, the people in the future will have to learn, unlearn, and then relearn. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I'm a Bitcoiner because I'm open-minded. I am open-minded. If facts change, I change. If something else changes in the future, there's a different element that comes down from aliens and there's a better Bitcoin, I will migrate to that thing over time as I study it and learn it. There's nothing on this earth currently that matches Bitcoin. That could change 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50, 100 years from now, that could change. I am open-minded to that. That's how I left gold and silver. That's how I left real estate to come to Bitcoin. I stack sats daily. Owning a property should be paramount. I've reduced my food bill with eggs I produced. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, get your own stuff. Get your own stuff. Help yourself. What did I miss? Bruce Lee. Oh, a lot. I'm tired. Went on a rant. Went on an absolute rant. Rajat was on here for the first 40 minutes. And then I went on just a rant after that. I don't even know why. But I feel like Will Ferrell in Old School. Was it Old School? Yeah, I think it was Old School, right? Old School. And he's just like debating, and then all of a sudden he's like blacks out and he's like gives a whole answer, and then he's like, wait, what just happened? Every fiat went to zero, yes, but the USD is the best, so it will be the last to fail. Yeah, well, I think so too. I mean, I believe it'll be the last to fail. Could be wrong, but I think you're right. I think it'll be last to fail. You got the biggest military ever. I mean, yeah, per capita. I wonder, like, compared to the Roman Empire or something, the other was like how it compares per capita to the world, like the size of ours versus others, and so how long it would take to fail. But most Americans don't think it'll happen to them. Yeah, so true. By pushing stable coins, they actually save the USD now, because the end of Bitcoin is successful. They able to back the USD with Bitcoin. Possibly. And that might be the answer. Like we were saying, these other layers, they might have that could happen. You could have that happen, but at least you have the unit of account there to act as that mirror. But I don't know. I do believe that I'm more hopeful than that. Bad things are going to continue happening, and I think younger generations are going to wake up and understand there is no second best. Stable coins are they're a thing of the past. They're fiat. And the education and what we're doing will continue. We see things just through our own perspective right now, instead of which obviously we can't look back 30 years from now and then look backward, but we can do it, even what things looked like 30 years ago and how different things are. I mean, look, I'll say this. If you would have told me 20, 25 years ago that the richest guy in the world, like him, love him, hate him, was talking about conspiracy theories and all these things that were taboo, off, whatever, and even mainstream legacy media was doing it. It's all over Twitter and X. If you would have told me 10 years ago that those things were happening, I would have laughed you out the room, completely laughed you out the room. So directionally, we're going the right way, and the information is getting out there. People are learning and they're growing. So we can't discount that and how much things will change over the next decade or two. Combine, AI, robotics, the younger generations coming, the transfer of wealth coming down, all of it. I mean, we're not going to be able to recognize it. So that's why it's tough at times. And that's why what we do here is just keeping ourselves on the track, keeping ourselves on those tracks and understanding, knowing what we own, know what we believe. Yep. This is why we hold it in DCA. Yeah. 100%. Jeff Smith bike. 100%. My channel, Iman, is Brandon_Gentili. So Brandon_Gentili on YouTube. Like I said, we have live streams Monday and Friday. I usually bring people on, and do stuff like we did with Rajat today. And then so we do that. And then Rajat, me, Jor, Robin, and Forrest Huddle, or his channel is Bitcoin Not Crypto. The five of us do a Tuesday live stream at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, we have the Bitcast. And I do that with BTC Sessions, Nathan from BTC Mentor, and Joey, who's Canadian Bitcoin. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast, and Walker America. So we do that one on Wednesdays. And then we drop the podcast that we do with Bitcoiners, Sound Money people on Thursdays and Sundays. So appreciate you guys. It is that simple. It is that simple, guys. I'm holding one, but I will continue buying when I can. I'll be holding for 15 years. That's it. Metal detecting gangland. Metal detecting England. There we go. I wish they had like spaces. You could see what the actual word, so sorry for screwing up the name there, but I wish they had spaces in here. That'd be nice. Let's go. That's amazing. I mean, again, one generational wealth, guys. Like getting to one Bitcoin, setting your stacking goals. Remember, everything comes down in Bitcoin terms. Bitcoin 8 years ago, the median price home was 400 Bitcoin. Then 4 years ago, it was 40 Bitcoin. And now it's 4 Bitcoin or 6 or 8 Bitcoin, whatever it is now. But it's, you guys have probably seen the meme. Remember, next go around, 4 years from now, it'll be 0.4 Bitcoin, 0.8 Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin will buy a median price house. And 8 years ago or 12 years ago at that time, if 4 years from now, then 12 years back, it was 400 Bitcoin. I mean, think about that. Everything is coming down in the finite asset as technology grows. Again, if technology keeps going, governments keep printing currency, Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, where do we think that leads? Do the math. I actually respect him answering my objections to Bitcoin. I'm in Bitcoin with all of you a lot. I would admit 85% of my worth is Bitcoin. I'm just trying to be reasonable. Admit Bitcoin is not going to $1 million. No, for sure. Appreciate that. Appreciate the pragmatic. It's always good. It's always good to check ourselves. We have to. We also have to push the Overton window too. Part of marketing is pushing the Overton window and assuming a sale, talking past the sale, showing people where we're going. I really believe that Bitcoin will hit 250 max. In an inflation, I will say, so in a deflationary world, you could have Bitcoin come down in price, but everything fall in price much, much faster. Now that is possible. You could have Bitcoin only be 250 or 500 or 750, and that's the max ever hits. But if everything is collapsed, just collapsing in price, in deflation, you could have that. That could absolutely happen. Silver linings. If you want a good breakdown of strategy and a stretch product, Raj, check out Adam Livingston, the Bitcoin Wizard. Yeah, Adam does a lot of breakdowns there. The True North team does a really good job as well. Really good job. Really interesting stuff, guys. Really, really good. What about this? I will never buy anything with my Bitcoin because Bitcoin is too volatile. I mean, again, so at the end of the day, it's just, USD is the one that's volatile. It's the cliche answer, but it's the right answer. It's just, it's USD that's volatile, and it's people's understanding of Bitcoin. But I don't know if it seems like you're conflating two things, pure life. Like people say that because it's deflationary or neutral money that captures deflation, people will never use Bitcoin or they'll never buy anything. But I have to live my life. Like I use Bitcoin. I pay people in Bitcoin. I do stuff in Bitcoin. So that's just part of it. But if you live on a Bitcoin standard, then it won't matter. You just keep providing value to society. Or you don't. You just live off your Bitcoin, but then you're paying it down, and then that's what changes society, is that people realize, oh, I actually have to, not only am I saving Bitcoin, if I don't do anything, okay, great, it's going up in purchasing value every year, but I have less and less of it because I'm using it. But it incentivizes people to then go to work and do work. And then it also incentivizes people to actually clean up the governments, clean up charity, the churches, what are the charity? Because then you have a world where if I'm giving you my Bitcoin, which it is worth much more than fiat currencies, then I'm going to actually verify where it's going. Does John actually need this charity? Does he actually need something? Did he really break his leg? Is he really sick? Instead of just government printing it and socializing all those losses of inflation, just printing it ad infinitum and just telling everyone, whoa, we got to help the poor. Well, we're not helping any poor. We're actually enslaving the poor even more and the middle class because we're just printing currency and then we're passing it off as like it's charitable. Charity is you doing it on your own volition. Oh, that's the whole nother thing we could go down. And then too volatile. Again, it won't be volatile. Bitcoin will actually, when it's like, if it's just Bitcoin, things are priced in just Bitcoin, it'll be very non-volatile. It won't be volatile really at all. Like we talked about this earlier, actually. If everything was divided by 21 million and like a loaf of bread cost 4 cents, a house cost 1,000 sats, a loaf of bread cost 4 sats, a house cost 1,000 sats, whatever. Work with me here. When you have a couple houses burned down, now there's less supply. So people will be fighting over those houses more. So now instead of 1,000 sats, maybe every house is 1,050 sats or 1,100 sats. So mind you, remember the loaf of bread was only 4 sats, but now the house, so now incentivizes a builder to then go build more housing. Because now instead of only 1,000 sats, he's getting 1,100 sats, or maybe it's 1,200 sats, right? Because the house is burned down, so there's less supply, and there's still an unchanging amount of Bitcoin. Or there's actually could be less Bitcoin because people could be losing their Bitcoin, right? So there's less and less Bitcoin to go around. So you could have even a little more of a bump. So now, but what happens when those houses are built? Now it starts coming back down though again, and kind of coming back to equilibrium. So say it kind of comes back down to 11 or 1050, 1020, 1,010 sats. Then kind of maybe it goes down under, dips under 998 sats, and then it kind of evens out around 1,000 sats again. But there's these just little natural bumps, ebbs and flows in the supply and demand versus the massive swings, bubbles, and busts that we have with fiat currencies when they cause these massive distortions and these huge artificial bubbles. That won't be there anymore. You'll just have simple price bumps, price decreases because of supply and demand, just natural free market at work. Completely different world. So anyway, I don't know if it was kind of, I took it as like a conflation of two different things. If you weren't, sorry. The way you can explain the reason why Bitcoin price will always rise is the following. In a debt-based system where you need to issue credit to make money, by symmetry, commodities with finite supply will always inflate in value because the difference of scarcity versus infinite money. Exactly, yeah. Candle trading, nailed it. You just absolutely nailed it. Show me the blockchain wallets of ETF stretch. No proof. I know. I mean, I wish, like Matt Hogan talked about this, proof of reserves with Bitwise when I interviewed him the other day. I wish that Sailor would do this. I wish that more people would do this. River does it, the exchange. It's amazing. I know there's probably some others out there, but more people need to start doing this. And this is the way to go. This is the standard. But again, remember guys, this will happen moving forward. This will happen. People will continue to, this will be, the younger generations won't put up with it. We ain't going back. Toothpaste is coming out of the tube and it ain't going back in. This is a standard. People will be held to the standard more going forward. Again, remember that information and education is unevenly distributed. Rajat just went to Turkey the other day and no one had any clue what Bitcoin was. We are extremely, and they went through hyperinflation, or not hyperinflation, but big inflation over the last year or two. We're early, but this gets out over time. The younger generation picks it up. As they say, science progresses one funeral at a time. It's not meant to be, it's not hyperbole. It's just how life goes. Bitcoin cold storage only. It is the way. Put it on your stamp seed. Go grab those. Again, appreciate you guys. I got some messages from people saying that they already used the links to go grab their stamp seed, stuff like that. Appreciate you guys using the link, supporting the show. Really appreciate you guys doing that and supporting Bitcoin only companies. So important. Same direction. If people want to go gamble, I always talk about when I was in Nashville 2 years ago for the conference there, I had someone stop me and we did he was doing like a little documentary or something like that. And he was like, "Oh, you're a Bitcoin maximalist, huh?" And then I already talked about why Bitcoin maximalism is a fake trope, fake meme earlier. So I'm not going to go into that, but I just told him, no, look, I'm a freedom maximalist first. I just believe we should all be on the same wagon first, not put the cart before the horse and fight for sound money first. Freedom is not given. It's not granted. It's taken. Go fix the money first. Then if you want to go play around with altcoins and gambling coins and Kalshi and Polymarket or whatever, and you want to go to the casino, actually, then go ahead. Go do it. But don't put the cart before the horse. Fix the money for society. Put everyone on an even playing field, not even outcomes, just an even playing field. Then once we're on an even playing field, go do whatever you want. I don't care. I could care less what people do. But when we're still in this fiat, when we're mired in this fiat system, then I care. Because you're affecting all of us. So going out and trying to shortcut things by, well, this altcoin is faster and it's more scalable, all on the main chain. You're just trying to shortcut things. You're either trying to scam people or you're trying to shortcut first principles. And that doesn't work. It does not work. Society has shown us, history has shown us that never works. You cannot shortcut nature's law. You cannot shortcut first principles, laws of thermodynamics. It's impossible. Physics won't allow us to do it, and humans won't allow us to do it. So anyway, my whole point is don't put the cart before the horse. I interviewed the guy and I was like, I'm a freedom first person. I'm a freedom first maxi. That's why. And that's why it's important to do the Bitcoin only thing first. That's why I'm saying about the sponsors of our show. So I appreciate you guys because the sponsors of our show that are Bitcoin only as well. Open source, privacy focused, etc. Bitcoin maximalism as well, if people weren't here earlier, is a false meme because by your very nature of being a Bitcoiner and really grokking Bitcoin, you are open-minded. You are humbling yourself. Bitcoin is an IQ, or sorry, not an IQ test. It's a humility and ego test. So by its very nature, by being a Bitcoiner, you are humbled or humbling yourself or actively trying to, never that we're perfect, but you're trying to humble yourself and you're open-minded to something could be coming here. My friend Alan Hibbard, who does Mike Maloney's Gold and Silver channel, when I interviewed him a few months ago, we talked about this. And he said, if the aliens come down and offer me an element that can create a better Bitcoin, a better money, and have an element that we don't have in our periodic table, then maybe, sure, like we might have it. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I left Bitcoin, or I left gold and silver and real estate to come to Bitcoin because facts change, things change that I was unaware of, and now became aware. And then studied the other altcoins, studied all the other currencies, studied everything else, monetary history, all the other currencies. And when you realize these things over 15, 20 years, and that all fiat currencies go to zero, the properties that Bitcoin has that nothing else has, the protocol, it becomes very evident. And it goes back to what we said earlier. When you see behind the curtain, you can't unsee it. And it seems crazy. When you can't see it, when you don't see it, when you haven't backed away from the fiat legacy debt-based monetary Titanic, where every other asset is, where all the altcoins, all the real estate, the gold and silver, the stocks, the bonds, all of them sit on the Titanic. When you can't see that because you're on that Titanic still, and you've only read the newspaper clippings, you've only been told this thing can't sink, the aircraft carrier is too big, the aircraft carrier is too strong, we got too many of them, US dollar is too big, won't fail. You cannot see it unless you get on the life raft, unless you actually study Bitcoin, you actually try it, put your toe in the water, get some Bitcoin, put it in self-custody, run a node, right? Do these things, and you start backing away. The more you do that, the further you're backing away from the Titanic, and you realize, oh my goodness, this thing is going down. I had a suspicion, and I was right. And so it doesn't matter what someone does. They shuffle the deck chairs in the Titanic, try to get in different assets. They vote for a new captain, aka voting for new government officials. You're still going to end up 12,000 feet under the sea, unfortunately. You cannot fix reality from the current system, as Jeff Booth says. Strike is not insured. If you buy an ETF, you are not sovereign. That is true. That is very true. As long as people know that, right? You know, if you want to get an ETF, like I said, you got to do what's best for you. Not everyone's a revolutionary. Not everyone's a martyr. Not everyone's a tech guy. Not everyone's a history guy. You know, like everyone's got their different thing. So you have to do what's best for you, but just know the difference. You know, the ETFs, you're not holding the keys. They're not your coins. As Brian Armstrong said 5 years ago, if the government comes to me and asks me to give up the Bitcoin, I will give up the Bitcoin. So just know that. That's all exchanges are like that. You know, US companies, or at least US companies, right? And they're going to be like that generally everywhere. So just know. Texting the wife. Well, as usual, this is only supposed to be half an hour to maybe an hour every time. And then we always go for inordinate amount of times, an inordinate amount of time. So, fortunately she's laughing at me, but, that's why I'm only doing this twice a week, guys, Monday through Friday, because I'd be here 3 hours every night if I was doing this otherwise. And then I don't know, wouldn't have a family after that. But the ETFs, you have to know that. You have to know what you're getting into. Paramount. If you're in the ETFs, just know that you're not totally sovereign, right? Know that you don't hold the keys to your coins. The exchange holds the key to your coins. They hold the seed phrase, the seed words, those 12 words, 24 words. They hold that. And 10 years ago, I didn't get into Bitcoin. I missed 2 years from 2016 up until I finally got going really in 2018 because I was scared about wallets. I was like, what are these wallet things? I mean, granted, it was maybe a little bit trickier then, but it is so easy now. It is so easy. Be grateful that there's still Bitcoin for sale, dude. Yeah. Seriously, you don't want to have to just work or mine it. Like that's going to be, that won't be as fun. It's easier right now to be able to buy with existing corn or existing cash and buy that corn. If you want to find the secrets of the universe in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, 100%. If you can't afford a Tangent card, you can't afford Bitcoin. Johnny Chopsticks, good to see you. Yeah, I mean, that's where like, hey, get, Blockstream J to $60, some of them a cold card foundation. I think they're $150, $160. You can get some of these great open source Bitcoin only wallets. Because again, if someone's going to get other wallets that are focused on other coins, that's not for me. That's not, I'm not here for that. I want people focused on just Bitcoin. Because again, like I said, I'm freedom maxi. You can do it. You can do what you want. I just think it's fruitless at the end of the day when you're not fixing the money. If you're not fixing the money, you're not separating money and state, which then comes quickly separation of education and state. Because by the way, if anyone didn't know, in America here, we went from #1 in the world to, I don't even know what we are, number 40 in the world, all since the Department of Education came in. I thought the Department of Education, or how about the war on poverty or the war on drugs, has done nothing but actually spread those things even more. So everything government touches goes the opposite direction. So this is why Bitcoin is so important. Why it's so incredibly important. Wild. Don't put the cart before the horse. Keep the main thing the main thing. Don't get caught up in the pseudosciences. Don't have activity bias and think, oh, I need to be doing something with my Bitcoin. I should sell and do something more. I got to get a little more return over here. Zoom out. It's savings long term. It's savings. Produce more than you spend. Maybe tighten up the belt a little bit, Dave Ramsey style. Maybe save a little more and let it compound, let it grow over time as government does dumber and dumber things and spends out the yin yang. And the people that are sitting in USD, really all the other assets, are going to be hurt. If you go look at all the other assets, even real estate, stocks, everything, it's generally gone sideways against the money printer, the currency printer. Sideways. You have not beat it. Bitcoin is the only thing over the last 17 years that has consistently gone up and beat the currency printing of 8 to 10% a year on average, CAGR of printing. And it's been like that for decades. Obviously, Bitcoin didn't exist, but for decades, it's 8 to 10% a year, CAGR, the currency printing. So if you're not beating 8 to 10% a year, CAGR, you are not beating the money printer. And so all these other assets are worthless. In essence, I mean, you're basically losing or treading water at very best. And that's why this stretch is fairly interesting, because he's at 11 or 11.5%, right? You're getting more than you are in a bank account. You're getting 0.01% in a bank account, but you're getting, so you're losing 11% each year, versus if you have stretch is a bank account, well, you're making 1 or 2% a year or whatever it is. So a couple of percent. And so that's where a lot of general people that kind of live in that world of, I don't want a lot of volatility, that's where they're going. Now for me, like I said, not me. I have more of a revolutionary mindset. I want the system to change for all people. So I want to pull the steam out of the current system. Wiedeberg, Bitcoin, it is 1:05 a.m. here in the Netherlands. God bless my brothers and sisters. Appreciate you being here. Really appreciate you being here. Really, really appreciate you being here. Even though it's so late. Pure Life is saying a bunch of nonsense. BTC, Eric, I don't think Pure Life is saying nonsense. I think that it's good to have pushback. It's good to not be in our echo chambers all the time. And idealism versus pragmatism. I talk about this a lot on my channel. For those of you who aren't usually on my channel, if you want to go check it out, Brandon_Gentili is my YouTube channel. I've had Rajat on numerous times. Going to have him again on Thursday. Will be the podcast that'll come out. And like I said, we do live streams Monday and Friday. Have one on Tuesday and Wednesday with a bunch of different Bitcoin content creators. And idealism versus pragmatism is something that we just get caught up at times, and just trying to be pragmatic and balance it with our idealism. Remember, most people aren't entrepreneurial. The early adopters, the people in Bitcoin now are early adopters. We're entrepreneurial. We're visionaries. We're the INTJs. We're the people that don't mind having the arrows shot at us, which is okay. Everyone's got different roles in life, and that's great. That's why life is great and amazing and works so well. So people will come as they see. This goes into power laws. That's another thing I forgot earlier. Power laws. I just had Stephen Paranod on, who does the stuff with Giovanni, the power law guys. And he says 10 years from now, again, the power laws really go towards the 1 million, 2 million, 10 years from now, where the volatility is down, but yet the prices are way up. Volatility is at 20% or 40% instead of 80%. 90. Like when you have less volatility, then the institutions are going to be in. The average person will be in. They'll be more comfortable. The institutions will be coming in. All these different things where they'll really be coming in, because you might have Bitcoin go from 2 million down to 1.2 million, but that's still lower volatility. That's only a 40% drop. So instead of a 50 or 60% drop or 80 or 90% in the past, even though we went from 120 down to 60, that's a 50% drop, and it's only $60,000. Yet we went down from 2 million down to 1.2 million. And that's a 40% drop, so less volatility. But it was an $800,000 price drop, nominal price drop. That's going to be an interesting world. But that's where you're going to have institutions coming in because they want less volatility. So going to the volatile question earlier that someone asked. It's all coming. It's all married together. The demographic shift, AI and robotics, the ease of use, the different Bitcoin tools, all of it. A lot of it's already here, but the education, all of it is coming. The 2030s they're going to blow everyone's mind. I can guarantee it. Wind talkers, native cold holders, negative SegWit. Let's go nuclear. Joshua, I thought Pure Life was being sarcastic with all these comments. People thought Berkshire Hathaway was at 500,000. You guys are killing me. Trini, I was laughing about the actor talking crap about Bitcoin. Oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, he embarrassed himself. Absolutely embarrassed himself. The Gold Eagle, 99. What up? Is that for Wayne Gretzky? The Gold Eagle, 99? I mean, not Golden Eagle. That's not Gretzky, but 99 is. So, what is good? Good to have you here. Good to have all you guys here. 100 of you. Flesh and blood. I love it. Absolutely love it. I wish we were like in a room though with 100 people having like a nice little Bitcoin meetup. That'd be really nice. We'll take the computer. That is the second best. Not me space. People that take advice from actors typically do not fare well, Joshua. Yeah, you nailed that. Blessed Exile, Epic Rants. Thank you. I'm tired. I don't know how long I went. That might have been like an hour straight of ranting. I don't know what, I'm not gonna lie. I was actually tired going into doing everything today. And all of a sudden I just got a second wind and just went off for like an hour straight. So that was like the Holy Spirit coming through me or something like that. I was like blacked out, like it was Wheel of Fair in old school. Cause I did not have that in me a couple hours ago. I will be straight up honest with you. So I appreciate all of you guys being here so much. ETH is a digital programmable centrally controlled CBDC, 100% nuclear. You know, it's funny, like 5-6 years ago, I think I tweeted it out actually, or maybe it's 2022. That's really when I got back on Twitter. So it must have been 2022. I tweeted out that ETH would become the CBDC. That was like one of my predictions. I was like, I gotta get this out. I gotta get this out. Because I gotta timestamp this, that CBDC is going to be ETH. So we'll see. Could be. It could be one of those altcoins probably. It could be the stable coins to a degree, I guess, but it'll probably be one of these altcoins. They'll try to do something. The Bitcoin money dude, I hope you follow. Is that to me? I don't know. Did I miss something we were talking about? Johnny Chopsticks, Bitcoin above 75. Hey guys, let's go. Little price bump. At the end of the day, Bitcoin, the price going up is still the greatest marketing arm of Bitcoin, right? As much as Bitcoiners, we know that it's the least interesting aspect, it's still the most interesting aspect to the pre-coiner and the no-coiner. So that's why living in pragmatism versus idealism, like we talked about, Pure Life has been talking about, we do have to balance these things. The days of Noah, yes, for sure. Build the ark, build the financial ark, build your firearms, the food storage, the mesh networks, the ham radios, get your batteries. This is, all this stuff. Get your toilet paper. But community is why Orange Pill app is one of our sponsors too. I love Brian and Mateo who run the Orange Pill app, but community, doing what we're doing now, community, your local peer-to-peer meetups, stuff like that. The most important thing you can do, because community is the number one thing in a survival situation. It's the number one thing. It's not how much Bitcoin you have or gold or food storage or anything. It's community, because the community is going to help you shore up what you are short on that you didn't realize you needed. How much liquid capital do you have in all Bitcoin? How much liquid capital do you have in all Bitcoin? Castillo Jesus says, I'm guessing that's to me. I have almost everything I do is in Bitcoin. So, but I come from the real estate world. So my liquid side is Bitcoin, but yeah, I still, I have real estate, stuff like that. I have assets just from the past. Like I was saying to everyone before, I was in real estate and professional hockey. I did that I retired in 2012 and I did real estate for 10 years. So I still have something. I've gotten rid of a lot of the real estate, but I still have some stuff because I was, either was partnership, some things you can't get rid of or you can't fully get out of yet or whatever it might be. So I've gotten rid of most of the stuff, realizing, because again, when you get into real estate, you realize your city risk, municipality risk, there's state risk, province risk. There's all these different things. They're all going bankrupt. So I don't I don't want to be in these things, living firsthand, seeing what was actually happening. I mean, we fixed up homes that were holes in the ground, and then we were getting hit with fines and letters from the government or from the local municipality. And you're sitting there thinking, I just did you guys a massive favor. And then it dawned on me, they were getting paid out by the government. They were getting more by having it be a hole in the ground than they were by an entrepreneur coming in, fixing it up, renting it out, having a good tenant in there, good resident in there. They're like, yeah, come on, you moron. How come you're doing this to us? Now they're hitting me with stuff and like trying to get me back out. Right. So I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. So I'll know when the business cycle, I've told people for a while, I'll know when the business cycle has healed, more or less, maybe hyper Bitcoinization, when it's good to go back into the temple after Jesus has driven the money changers out, when people start paying me in Bitcoin, when I can get my residents to pay me in Bitcoin or whatever, or most businesses are accepting Bitcoin, stuff like that. That's when I'll know, I think it's safe to go outside again. I think it's maybe safe to go back into legacy assets. Maybe the monetary premium, maybe we're at 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million per Bitcoin, and all the monetary premium has been sucked out of these old assets. And now the median price home is back down to 100,000 or 150,000 and not 450,000. Maybe it's been cut by 4 times or 5 times. And so now, you know what? Maybe it's safe to go back out there. So these things are going to happen. Dream Thread, what up? Yo, I'm going to come. I don't know where we're coming to. I'm 50% debating if that's too much. I'm 50% in debating if that's too much. I mean, if you're liquid, again, everyone's different. I can't give personal financial advice, obviously, but everyone's different. I'll say this, guys. The tools are there to live completely outside the system. That's pretty much all I'll elaborate on right now. But the tools are there to live completely outside the system. Be the sovereign individual. If you guys have not read The Sovereign Individual, a couple books for you guys. If you have not read The Sovereign Individual, go read it. If you have not read Jason Lowery's software thesis, which is playing out right now globally and looking like a lot of the Trump administration, what's happening, it's just going on globally. And it's the world we're entering with cyber warfare and cyberspace. Read those 2 books. Just read those 2 books. Blow your mind. Next time, maybe Friday, I'll give you guys a couple history ones. Screw it. I'll do it now. Stalin's War, great book. And then The Secret Founding of America, the history of pure Masons and Puritans, starting of America. Wild. 2 alternate, different takes on history and what was actually happening from what we were told here in government-run compulsory schools. Let's just say that. Fascinating books. But go read Sovereign Individual and Software. It's going to help you with your decision there, Castillo Jesus. It'll help you a lot in making it. Trump is True Lies. What a great movie. That is such a great movie. I can always watch True Lies. Like back in the day when you used to have cable, if it was on, it was like, oh, I got to watch True Lies. Stablecoins are backdoor CBDCs. Bitcoin Money Dude says, yeah, I mean, not good. I don't know what they'll end up being, right? But yeah, I wouldn't touch stablecoins, but that's me. I'm not in a third world country. I get Bitcoin. I would never touch them, right? Bitcoin is the protocol outside the system. Stablecoins are just a recreation of the same thing. ETH is controlled by a guy in a bunny suit. That is also true. A guy that got bored, quite honestly, a guy that got bored in Bitcoin because he didn't understand the game. He didn't understand that it was money. He didn't understand it was a revolution. Didn't understand that we were remaking the entire system. Again, people laugh, or we didn't declare war in Iran. It's against the Constitution. Since when do we have the Constitution? When have we followed the Constitution? When's the last time we've been doing that? The system is fake. It doesn't exist in the way we think it does. And I'm guilty of that. I've been guilty of that for the last 20 years or 15 years or whatever. I guess call it 2000 to 2020. Thinking that the system existed. I'm like, oh, we can go back. I love Judge Napolitano and some of these guys out here, right? But they're like, this is an abomination. Trump is showing you the software thesis in real time. Real power versus abstract power. Abstract power would be Donald Trump. We elected a president and we believe he has power. Or a leader of some other country. Or saying this lady who runs the HOA and we're giving her power. Well, that's abstract power. Real power would be the rack on that elk's head, or real power would be the JDAM that was dropped from the B2 or the B1 that's over your head. That's real power. It doesn't matter what you believe or not. If you believe Donald Trump has power or not, okay, well, that kind of depends on what you believe, right? The rack on the elk's head or the JDAM that was just released from the Bombay doors, that has real power. Whether you believe in it or not doesn't matter. And Trump is ripping that apart. Again, like him, love him, hate him, doesn't matter. But the point still stands. And that's what we're living through right now. And that's where Vitalik wanted to reshape the world in his own image. He wanted As he said, paraphrasing, I want something that doesn't involve physics. I want something to be able to kind of remake things whenever I want. He got greedy. He got impatient, and he wanted speed. He wanted to do things his way. Correct. Yeah, Bitcoin is money. It absolutely is. Nuclear. You don't need centrally controlled garbage. Bitcoin is money. McLovin 557. What up? Trini. Boom. Little fist pump for Trini. Yeah, I love that. Trini deserves a fist pump. No, I don't think Rajat was pushing. I mean, he talked about it being like, yeah, it could be a good thing for certain people, right? But I mean, overall, like he still believes self-custody. We talked about it. Like he still believes self-custody is the best thing. And I joked with him. Like I was like, I'm more of a revolutionary for sure. Like I'm definitely more revolutionary in the sense of I take a hard line stance against it, but I still come from, I understand the old world, and everyone has to do what's best for them. I can't sit here and force people what to do. I'm a freedom maximalist at the end of the day. Like you do what you need to do. I'm just telling people what I believe to be true, in my opinion, and the fastest, best way to get there. But everyone has to make their own decisions. Like you got to weigh the variables, right? And how you are in your life, and weighing the idealistic versus pragmatic side. That's, I guess, really what Pure Life was saying earlier. That's where we're at, is balancing those two worlds. The percent increase in the homes, and at the same time, a lot less Bitcoin to purchase it. 100% Wisteria. That's why it's so important to reframe things in sats and save in sats and look at denominate. Here's another thing too. Start denominating your net worth in sats. So if you're not doing that already, denominate your net worth in sats and or Bitcoin and watch it come down over time. It might be going up in dollars, but it'll be going down in Bitcoin terms, because believe me, I've been doing this for years. You might be stacking more sats and you might be doing this more, but your net worth will continue going down in Bitcoin. Well, not Bitcoin terms. Like if you're stacking sats, it'll go up in Bitcoin terms, but it will keep going down if you're denominating it in USD. So that's why it's important to do it in USD and Bitcoin. You'll see it come down in terms of the USD Bitcoin conversion. So do it in both. And that's when you start really seeing what's happening. Because McLovin, what he's saying, it kind of makes me think of this too. The price of Bitcoin is only an exchange rate. Purchasing power only increases over time. That's what matters. Yep, exactly. The average price of a house is less than 1 million sats. Dang. That is wild. There you go. It just keeps coming on down in Bitcoin terms. Yeah. Thank you, Jor. That's it. All my liquid capital is in Bitcoin. However, I'm selling my house, so much of my net worth will be liquid capital soon. Let's go. Hoofty fluffin. Let's go. Love that. I love how many people in here have been like, yeah, I sold my house or sold houses for Bitcoin. Amazing. This is a heck of a chat. This is probably the best chat I've ever had. This is awesome. You guys rock. You guys get it. On the mission. On the mission. The speed that Bitcoin HODL 1974 says, with the speed, strategy, and others are hoovering up Bitcoin, don't be so sure about the price ceiling. I agree with a lot of your points. I'm not using for money either yet. Way too volatile. Yeah, I mean, it probably will be. The asset is very nascent still. So we're going to still have price swings. It's going to be volatile in USD terms. And so that's where, like we said, be careful if you're doing loans, do very small loan to value, stuff like that. Just be very careful with what you're doing. Rajat and I come from a real estate background, using debt, things of that nature. So we have experience in it, but it's not for everyone. It's not something I try to really mess with either. And just because it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the most pristine money and protocol there is. So I try not to get into that world either, but just need to get to the next step here, right? Everyone's got to get to the next step. So they got to do what they need to do in order to get there, is my point at the end of the day. But yeah, no one can be sure. No one can be sure on the Bitcoin price. Anyone, up or down. Keep money, watch out. Keep money watched in Bitcoin price low. Do you have a large emergency fund in hand? If so, how many months would you be able to ride out, or would you sell Bitcoin if it came down to it? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing at the end of the day. Like, you got to be willing to sell Bitcoin too, if you need to. And this is where, like, everyone has to do, the memes cut both ways. Never sell your Bitcoin also cuts both ways in the sense of it's good for normies. But when you're in Bitcoin, if you're living on a Bitcoin standard, of course you have to sell your Bitcoin. There's other products out there you can use to lend against it, or lines of credit coming out, things like that nature. So that's up to everyone on their own volition. Use wisely. But yeah, you have to sell your Bitcoin. But if it's going up, 20, 40, 50, 60% a year on average over time, long term, then if you pay a little gains here and there, or if you're using a completely different system to do things, well, there are those tools out there. And if you're in the system, there are ways to track it easily. So all the tools are out there. All the tools are out there. But, sell some. You need to live on it. You have to live. So people that saying Bitcoin will never be spent are wrong, because I do it. I know tons of people doing it, living on Bitcoin standards, everything. Bitcoin will be spent. It's there to live at the end of the day. It's there to give you a quality of life and do what you designed it to do, be your savings. Thoughts on rebalancing, selling Bitcoin to other asset class to maintain a balanced portfolio. Pomp 4401 says, so I don't, that's not, I've never done that. I will never do it because I don't, again, with me and my studies of it and what I've seen over 20 years of, like I said, all the entrepreneurial endeavors, real estate, gold and silver, and then studying Bitcoin for almost 10 years, I would never rebalance my portfolio and have less Bitcoin and get other things. Now, in saying that, right now, over the next 5 years, 10 years, minimum, probably, most likely, 10, 15, 20 years from now, maybe. Like I talked to Dr. Jeff Ross, like maybe 8 months ago on the podcast. And I asked him, I said, when would you take your Bitcoin and go buy legacy assets with it again? Apartment complexes, businesses, car wash, laundromat. And he was like, probably 20 years from now. When the volatility has come down, the price appreciation, everything has come down, or maybe we're just living in a Bitcoin world. If that exists, if it doesn't, then okay, maybe it's down to 10, 12% a year, and I'm taking that capital and I'm going to go deploy it in an apartment complex or a business. And then that goes back to when I'm getting paid in Bitcoin from people, then I'll know the business cycle is healed. So again, it's not a forever thing, because someday fiat currencies won't exist. And if they do still in 20 years, then that'll be a time when, hey, I can take this capital, the Bitcoin, and deploy it in other things. I'm not going to try to outsmart this. I've got family. I've got other endeavors, things I want to do, in the sense of I want to spend time not watching tickers all day and managing people. So I'm going to save in the hardest money known to man. And then when I'm ready, when I'm older, kids are gone, price is done. Well, not done, but the massive S curve of gains and the power law, all these things have played out over the next decade or two, then yeah, I'll be able to take those winnings, quote unquote, and I'll deploy them in other productive assets. But that's me. That's my scenario, and kind of what I've mapped out over time. Going for a few more minutes. Oh, Claude. Yeah, it's bad. I just love hanging out. I just like hanging out with everybody. Claude 1542. What is good? Going for a few more minutes, and here we are, 20 or 30 minutes later. My goodness. Jor. Yeah, Jor's laughing at me. Deserved. I deserve it. Bitcoin Hodl 1974 said small emergency fund HELOC is for shit hitting the fan. Sell some TradFi stock. Yes, I still have TradFi too. Send the hate. I love it. I mean, again, everyone's in different stuff. Some people are in 401ks and pension stuff, and stuff they can't get out of. It's like, again, me with real estate or whatever. Like, there's some things it's hard to get out of, or you can't. You have to wait, or whatever it is. Right? There's taxes, there's penalties, there's different stuff. And if you have a good Bitcoin stack, you can not force the issue so much. Because again, we haven't talked, there's country risk. There's different things going on. If you don't trust your government, if you don't trust the people around you, then you might have more of an incentive to get your stuff out faster. Pay the penalty, pay the fine, whatever it is, pay the tax, and get out of Dodge. So these are things that everyone has to think about. And, everyone has to do their different planning when it comes to that. George compromise. Yeah, that was a wild comment. Oh, I love it. Get off my lawn. Fake live stream. Yeah. Oh, man. Love it. Absolutely love it. DCA every day with Strike or River. Bitcoin hustle. Yeah. Just time in the market. Not time in the market. Time in the market. Don't try to be the smartest guy in the room. Don't try to be Luke Groman. He's got 30 years of doing this and probably only right 1 out of 2 times. Don't try to outsmart it. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. Like we said earlier, the beauty of Bitcoin, the example of the McDonald's owner, worker, and the doctor. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. You don't have to be a hedge fund manager. Just provide more than you spend to the world and save in Bitcoin. And the tortoise and the hare. Everyone's looking at the past. And again, the past doesn't guarantee the future gains, right? So yes, getting 10 million% in the first 5 years, is that going to happen again? Probably not. Probably not, but you're still going to miss massive stuff if you're trying to rebalance or trying to get into other, real estate, or trying to get back into other things, unless you've got a direct line to it. You're a genius in that world. You've got tons of experience and you love doing it. Terrence Michael, who I just interviewed, we just came out with yesterday. He's one of those guys. Also in the real estate world, been doing it for a long time, loves real estate. That's kind of like just his thing. And he says, I know I'm taking a hit on Bitcoin, but I love doing it. It's a family thing. Okay, well, that's a little different, right? These things are all very case by case. Wallets are not easy to newbies. Down Under Blues. So I agree and disagree. Like, I was scared 10 years ago. I think it was that was true then, what you're saying. Man, it is so easy now. Wallets, to me, are still maybe scary to newbies, but I think they're so easy now. They're so easy compared to what they were 10 years ago. So that's what people say. Like, most people never custody their own Bitcoin. Unfortunately, there might be some truth to that, but there's no reason. There's no excuse not to. Let's just say that. There's just none. A con artist, because I think Stretch makes some for some people. Not everyone has thousands of hours of Bitcoin under their belt. It's a transition. Yeah, it is a transition. That's for dang sure. Castillo said, do you buy dips with the fund or stick to DCA? Sorry. In my late 20s, trying to see how people are positioning themselves. It's hard when you're the only Bitcoiner in your group. Yeah, well, that's why we're here, brother. That's why we're here, Castillo. I don't know if that's for Jor. I don't know what you guys are talking about in there, but you buy dips with a fund or stick to DCA. I'll just say this. DCAing is, when you find the thing you want or need, DCAing is generally always the best way to go. Let's just say that. It's, whether it's gold and silver, there's the ETF and that's all you can do, or whatever it might be. You don't have money to get a cold storage wallet or whatever it is. Buying dips if you can, pushing more chips in when there's dips, and then DCAing is the best strategy by far. Time in the market, not trying to time the market. I love that. I love that you're in your late 20s getting after it here late on a Monday, getting some information. That's the way. That is the way. Study Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's a 4-letter word. Study Bitcoin. That's the unlock, is studying Bitcoin, not trying to get Bitcoin and trying to get rich off Bitcoin. That's not the unlock. Studying Bitcoin. And it opens up this world that you never knew existed. Never knew. Never knew. Bitcoin's the world's first immutable yardstick exposes the cheating, the inflation debasement in the legacy system in real time. It's the ultimate mirror for global value. Yeah, Claude. Nailed that. Absolutely nailed that. Verhoofty floating. Bitcoin is my emergency fund. I could hold out for probably 1 year if I had to sell. Love that. Love that. Quit spamming Brandon's chat. He's speaking. You're spewing nonsense. No. Are you talking nuclear? You guys are killing me. Cold Car Q is better than Tangem. Yeah, I don't really know much about Tangem. I thought I saw some weird stuff about that. Like, again, I don't like Ledger, all that garbage. Like, I don't want anything. That's why, like, the only 3 I've ever even thought about are Blockstream Jade, Cold Card, and Foundation devices, right? Passport, Prime, whatever, because I want something that's open source, privacy enabled, whatever. Like, I want people focused on the goal, on the mission, and they're open source. Like, that's, yeah. If I was 20, I would do everything. I'd get at least 1 Bitcoin, then DCA a small amount every day, then forget about Stretch and all the stuff like that. Bitcoin Hodl said, yeah, no, I agree. That's what I would do as well, because Bitcoin is a change in the entire system, right? It's changing the entire system, and you don't get that through the ETFs. It's custodying your assets, being completely mobile, and also defunding the corrupt system that we're in. So do you get that from the ETFs? No, you don't. And that's why I lean towards always Bitcoin and self-custody, because that's my mission. So everyone has to make their own decisions. Stretch makes sense for retired people wanting stable income without the big 50% price swings. Yeah, you're right, down under blues. And that's why this, it's tough. That's why this is, very case by case. After my house sells, I'll have enough liquid capital to live for about 8 years. And that's a great way to look at wealth too, right? Wealth is your time and energy. So wealth is, I track on my spreadsheet, which I've been tracking for 8 years, my net worth in Bitcoin, net worth in dollars, but also your wealth is how long can you live without getting income? Like how long can you go? It's your time without changing your standard of living with no income coming in, that's your wealth. So is it 1 month? Is it 170 months? Is it 1,000 months? How long can you go without receiving that income, that paycheck? That's really your true measure of wealth at the end of the day. I will say Bitcoin it messes it up a tiny bit because theoretically, because Bitcoin it becomes worth more over time always. So that the number should keep increasing, right? You keep stacking more Bitcoin, that number over time, year after year after year, decade after decade, will keep growing. So it's pretty wild, pretty dang cool. Dream thread, how risky is stretch? I'm not an expert in that. You have to go watch the True North guys, Adam Livingston, and go watch stuff like that. And I know a bit about that stuff. And Saylor has, and as Terrence said in our latest pod, he has the Bitcoin. Saylor's got the Bitcoin. That's the important part. So he can get away with doing a lot of these things, right? From what I've heard and what I've seen, it's really not that risky. People are like, oh, he's going to get liquidated, all this stuff. Like Saylor, they've engineered this where, the world had to come to an end pretty much for them to get liquidated and stuff like that. Again, it's not financial advice. Go, do your own research, but Saylor's they've been at this for a number of years now, and they've created some pretty wild products. Let's just say that, pretty amazing offerings. Do any hardware devices have an open source secure element? What are you even talking about? Is that to me, Jor? I don't know. I don't know if that was to me or that thing is. Sorry for spamming the chat, Brandon. It had to be said. See you, Nuclear. See you, brother. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all you. Not a boomer. I was born in 1980. Oh, man. Thanks so much for the input, Nuclear. You're killing it in the comment section. Doing God's work. Spell his name right, at least. My parents are boomers. You should be fine. You should be mad at the COVID money printing and not the boomers. The money printing caused the price of houses to double in 2 years. Yeah. And all of it. And all the money printing, right? Thought boomers were after the millennials. So boomers, then Gen X, then millennials, Gen Y, then Gen Z, right? Then Gen Alpha, and then Gen B. You don't think Gen A, Gen Alpha, and then Gen B, Gen Bitcoin, you don't think they're going to get it? Oh, boy. Oh, buddy. Boomers. So some of them were. I think silent generation was kind of a part of that too. It's kind of weird. Like it overlaps some of it. Silent generation and boomers. Hating on truth speaker. Truth. I thought now you guys are yelling at each other again? I thought you guys were just good a second ago. Jumping ship to where? Smash Mouth? I don't know where we're jumping ship to. I might have said that, but I don't know what I was talking about. No. True COVID, the fact school did not teach financial literacy. That's on purpose. Government run schools for 100 years, right? Conform, comply, obey. Conform, comply, obey. Trini, talking to McLovin. Sorry, everyone, I'm out. See ya, Nuclear. Great seeing you. Being in your 20s and having found Bitcoin, you'll be fine, dude. Just live a meager lifestyle. I have lived a meager lifestyle for 13 years. Yeah. Produce more than you consume. Save in Bitcoin. And sit back and study Bitcoin so that you know what you own, that we aren't shaken out. Again, facts change, we change. Most pristine protocol is interesting. I agree too, I suppose, though. Would you switch your whole 401k to the iBet? Dougie Fresh said. Oh boy. So we had a very small one. My wife did, whatever it was years ago. And we switched it to GBTC at the time or, whatever it was. I wanted stuff because we couldn't take it out and it was really small at the time. I was like, I just want it in Bitcoin stuff. I'm not going to pull it out because I didn't want to take the tax hit. Like I'm just putting it in Bitcoin stuff. And that was it. And then we turned it. I don't know what we turned it into. Then we rolled in another Bitcoin one. I can't remember what it is now. I like never look at it. I'll just say that because it's not a lot of what I do. It's very minimal comparatively, percentage wise to our portfolio. So but I wanted it in Bitcoin. I wanted a proxy of Bitcoin. So because I believed in Bitcoin, but it is not my thing. So maybe that helps a little bit. There is no second best. Oozley said, good to see you. That's so true. There definitely is no second best. This next 10 or 20 years is crucial. You better stack sats like your life depends on it. Literally, your life, your family depends on it. Is 30% CAGR for the next 10 years really conservative for Bitcoin? Yeah, Doug Fresh, that's a great point. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 40. I mean, who knows? Maybe we have some massive price movements and we're at 30, 40, 50, 60% still. I mean, who knows? And that's the thing that's hard to predict. But I will say that even if it's 30% a year or 25%, 30%, I mean, 10 years from now, that's massive gains. I mean, massive, massive, massive gains. That's why whoever just said that a minute ago, this next 10 or 20 years is crucial. And that being at age, being in your 20s or something like that and continuing to stack. I mean, no matter what age you are, it's important to continue stacking. So yeah, I think it is around 50% or something like that. It was 60% like a year ago. So yeah, it's probably around 50% or 55. So 30% would be somewhat conservative. Yeah, every time we say short stream today, it's always 2 hours. I know. Dang it, Jor. Energy matters, BTC. Why do people freak out so much? Has anything changed in Bitcoin? No. Bitcoin doesn't need you. Correct. Doesn't care about you. That is correct. It has one job. Keep doing what it does, with or without you. Very true. And that's the job every day, to come in here and remind people of that. Keep the main thing. TikTok next block. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. People's sentiment, the crazy in all of us changes. That's what changes day to day. Stack sats, provide value, and let's help each other out. Boom. Love that. Love that. Energy matters. Study the history of money. Once you understand money, your conviction in Bitcoin will become unbreakable. Also very true by Verhoofdy Floof. And when you buy Bitcoin, it is good. When you sell it, it's a taxable event. Over Easy Film said, yes, that is true. That is very true. It is a taxable event right now, currently. There are also many tools that help you with that in many ways, if you catch my drift. So, sorry, I had to move my 45 communist gold sheet. So that way we knew. That way we know exactly. You can't know what you're going against or what you're out there doing unless you keep your enemies close, or your friends close and your enemies closer. Constitution and the Communist Manifesto, always in the desk next to each other. Got to know exactly where we're going, where we're headed. Oh, and then we have Jordan Bush, Jimmy Songother, thank God for Bitcoin. Right on all that too. So you got to know where you're going. You have to know. I read the Bitcoin Standard a few years ago. It was the answer to everything I had been looking for. Bought Bitcoin, nothing else, never sold. Don't check price, just keep stacking. Boom. Love that. Energy matters. Love that. Love that. My channel, for the guys and gals that are in here, that usually are Rajat's channel, Brandon_Gentili is my channel. Go check it out. George's got a great channel in 88 Sats Radio. We're going to do some stuff together going forward. And you know what? I'll put it in here. Make sure that way everyone has it. And let me see here. So that's my channel. I just put it in the chat. I don't know if I can pin stuff here or what, but who knows? I have no idea. Probably have to get in this other thing over here. But that is my channel for you guys. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel, the Bitcoin only sponsors that we have. Really appreciate that a ton. Earlier, you guys are very kind. Why not XRP 2? Hold on, wait, where am I? No, sorry, bro, that was Nuclear. He was calling me a con artist. Oh, I don't. Is Stretch okay for someone nearing retirement? Isaac Newton said, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a product that works great for people close to retirement. I mean, I will say that again, it's not advice. It's just everyone's got to find out their own situation. I mean, it's phenomenal for that. Like, again, I'm 38 years old, like I see where this is going. I see where the puck is going. Someone just shot the puck in at the red line, and the puck's coming up around the boards, and I got to get to the far blue line. I know where things are going. Governments are going to keep printing money forever until they blow their currency up. That's guaranteed in all of human history. Bitcoin staying decentralized and secured, pretty good bet. Incentivized to do it. Been doing it for 17 years. Those two things, I know Bitcoin is going to continue going up at 30%, 40, 50% a year, like we just said, the compound annual growth rate, the CAGR. So I would like that long term. However, someone that's nearing retirement or much older, they might say, yeah, you know what? You guys do your revolution. You guys change the whole system. I would just like 11% a year. I've already built up a lot of USD wealth or fiat wealth, and I would like to just have my return here. And, so everyone's different. And so that's, if I was 70 years old or 80 years old and I had $1 million, 2 million, 3, whatever it was, 3, I'd be like, yeah, that'd probably look really enticing to me. So, let's see here. Is there a method to cash flow or a BTC stack? Yeah, I mean, Core Digital. So one of the things that is interesting to me is how more people haven't done the real estate thing, or even what Sailor's doing, which is taking your real estate, go raising money, because this is what I used to do. You go raise money and then you buy a property with it, you fix it up, then you rent it out, then you refinance it. So say it's $100,000 I bought the house for $50,000, but I raised $100,000 from other people, so I have no money in the deal. Then I've got $100,000 in, I fix it all up, now it's worth $150,000, and I refi it for 80% loan to value. So say it's whatever is that, 120,000 I get to pull out, or 115. I get that 100 that I raised from other people, the cost of the purchase and the fixing it up. I give that 100 grand back to all the investors. Then I keep the 15 grand or 20 grand. I keep that difference. So now that's 15, 20 grand I didn't have. And I have the real estate, the property now cash flowing. So that 15 grand I could go put into Bitcoin. The cash flow each month, say it's $100, $200, $300, whatever it is. Now, those deals are harder to come by nowadays, so caveat, but that cash could go into Bitcoin, cash flowing Bitcoin, basically, right? Like you literally have a real estate property, and you got to manage it though now and stuff. So you have that and the Bitcoin. And so now you have this world where you could be getting all this without any money in the deal. In accumulating assets like crazy. I just don't know how that hasn't happened more. Now you have the 3 biggest real estate investors in America, probably the most known, have now all talking about Bitcoin. Robert Kiyosaki, Donald Trump, and Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone probably doing the most, taking the most active role now. And at least actively into what I just said, taking the Bitcoin, raising money, buying a bunch of Bitcoin, getting the cash flow, buying Bitcoin with it. Another way is the loans, again, like you got to be careful with it, but loans, you get your Bitcoin, you lend out against a little portion of it, and you take that and spend it, and you can't keep rolling the loans over the years. You want to do that very conservatively. Again, not financial advice. Got to do your own homework, but that's something that you can continue doing over time. Let me see. Hold on, this thing's freezing. So those are some just 2 ways right off the top of my head there are ways that you can cash flow Bitcoin. And you can have that you have a yield off of Bitcoin. So creating your own yield, I should say. All right. Where did you guys go? There we go. Why not XRP as well? Yeah, XRP is... yeah, that's a good question, Sergio. I don't know where to start with XRP. First, there's a pre-mine. There's a company that leads it. There's a pre-mine. There's insiders. The surface of attack is way too big. There's validators, not miners. Is it proof of stake? I think it's proof of stake, right? And I don't want to trust other people. Whoever has the most XRP makes the rules. I have to trust validators, and I have to go through this. And again, the market deciding is another bullet point in all of it, right? The market deciding and saying, hey, why are billionaires? Why are companies? Why are these people going to Bitcoin? They're not going to XRP. People discount the Lindy effect. And if Bitcoin's still running at this point and people aren't leaving it, why is that happening? Why are people continuing to go to Bitcoin and not somewhere else? And if that's going to keep going on, that's going to then perpetuate even more. It's like a flywheel. So people really discount the simplest of things. Bitcoin's very simple. You can put 1,000 hours and learn a million things in Bitcoin. That's why we say study Bitcoin. But at the same time, it's so simple. But people don't like simple answers. It's hard because people want the complicated answer. But when you say you're explaining all these complicated things, they're like, oh, whoa, it's way too much. And then you say, hey, it's just game theory or the Lindy effect, like very simple philosophical concepts of Bitcoin. Then it's like, well, it's too easy. It sounds too good to be true. Okay, well, what is it? It's just people that don't want to put in the work. They're intellectually lazy. They don't want to humble themselves to. So the properties of XRP lead me to not want XRP, number one. And number two, Bitcoin already has all the greatest properties. It's the strongest protocol, the most decentralized protocol, the most secure protocol. So I want to put my time and energy into that protocol. Does that make sense? You should be able to share your link in the chat. Yeah. There it is. Yep. I don't know how you pin it though from StreamYard though, Jor. That was a night. Great run tonight, brother. Thanks everybody. Couldn't chat. Busy working late. Yeah. Thanks, Clean Your Machine. Appreciate you, brother. Usually you're up here firing around, so you must have been really busy working. That stretch in Bitcoin. But what about XRP? So hopefully that kind of answered your question about it. XRP is a pump and dump. They can trade XRP by the 4-year cycle, but it wouldn't hold it long term. What if you hold it for 2 cycles, so 8 years? Again, when you chart Bitcoin against XRP, really all the cryptos, right? All the other cryptos, you can see they all go to 0 against Bitcoin. So could you make, this is where, again, it's hard. It's like the Luke Gromen thing. If you're a trader and it's all you do all day long, you're a high frequency trader, you might be able to get away with like making a few bucks over like a month span or a couple months. You might be like, oh, I win. Like I'm out competing Bitcoin. But that's not the promise of Bitcoin. That's not the beauty of Bitcoin. The beauty of Bitcoin is, hey, the entire global system can run on Bitcoin and will run on Bitcoin. All you need to do is sit here in the hardest properties known to man and then just wait. But waiting is so hard. Being patient is extremely difficult. Warren Buffett has talked about this many times. Not the biggest Warren Buffett fan, but as many of you know, but the greatest investors in the world are the most patient people. Donald Trump, one of the building thing was like Hudson Yards in New York. It took him 20 years to buy it. He tried to do the deal once, didn't work, and then he waited 20 years and finally got the deal that he wanted. 20 years. Could you wait 20 years just to do one deal? That's the difference. The greatest investors are patient. They don't have activity bias. You see greater gains in Bitcoin, right? I have both, of course. That's good. Yeah. So anyway, I hope that just answered. I didn't see that, but yeah, you could see greater gains in Bitcoin in a short term, like in a month span or something. But long run, when you chart Bitcoin against XRP, XRP is just going to 0. It's basically gone to 0 in essence. So meaning every time you're spending time in XRP or any of the other coins, not just XRP, you are losing your chance, your opportunity to have Bitcoin. You are losing that race. You are getting poorer as Bitcoin continues eating every other asset. You're now getting poor in the only real money that matters. So hopefully that makes sense. Adjusted for inflation, Bitcoin 62.7% CAGR for the last 10 years. Not too shabby. Yeah, that's hard to beat, McLovin. That's hard to beat. The only way I know how is what I explained earlier, the Burr strategy of real estate. If you can use other people's money to get Bitcoin, basically what Saylor's doing, that's infinite return, right? Real estate, I use other people's money. I go buy the house, refinance it, pull the money out, buy Bitcoin with it, stuff like that. So I have no money in the deal. Now that's an infinite return. That's an infinite return. That's cool. But not many people can do that. That's why I left real estate, because I realized I was doing this, but I wasn't helping anyone else. I was helping a few investors or lenders using their money and things of that nature. But I wasn't helping, like society wasn't helped by me doing that. I helped a couple renter, you helped a renter, you helped some lenders, but that was it. And I just thought there were, when I saw Bitcoin, I was like, wow, this fixes the politics, the red versus blue fighting. It fixes the money. It fixes all the incentives. It fixes all the BS I'm seeing in real estate, the in business, the regulations, the red tape, all this stuff. The incentives then flipped on itself. The incentives flipped completely and inverted the system. So it righted the ship. All the XRP are pre-mined at IPO. 36% of the supply is held by Ripple and escrow. It has bad tokenomics. It's basically a scam. Yes. Do you agree? Yes. And correct. Yeah. Which is exactly, thank you for Hoofty Flute. And that's exactly what we're saying. Do you agree at some point Saylor has 2 choices? 1, sell Bitcoin for some sort of gains, or 2, keep borrowing against Bitcoin and hoping it goes up forever? It's a great question, Pure Life. And I don't know who asked this earlier, but I do think he will keep borrowing forever until fiat collapses. This is the speculative attack. I don't know if he'll have to sell Bitcoin. Yeah, but I don't know if he'll have to. I think he'll probably just be able to keep going, because we're going to have Bitcoin run up here sooner than later. We're going to have these runs up, whether it's in 6 months or 12 months, whatever. We're going to have it go back up. He'll be able to keep doing this even more. He's shown that he can create products that can do stuff even when Bitcoin's down. And he's going to be able to keep doing this until fiat collapses, until people won't accept Bitcoin. Wait, I'm trying to think. When people don't accept Bitcoin for fiat, right? They don't accept fiat for Bitcoin, right? It's like if you're trying to go sell your Bitcoin, I can't even think about this right. Anyway, there'll become a point, a saturation point, like we talked about earlier, where people will not accept fiat. There we go. Thank you. People will not accept fiat for the Bitcoin. You will have to trade the Bitcoin for other assets, for other things, right? So people always talk about, well, if the dollar doesn't exist and the Bitcoin won't either, how would you price things? Well, Bitcoin is the measurement. Sats are the measurement. So I will trade my Bitcoin, my sats for an apartment complex. I'll trade my sats for a car. I'll trade my sats for a car wash. That's the unlock. That's when, again, people start realizing these things. So I don't know if I answered your question thoroughly enough, but made me think of a couple different things. Eamon's laughing at me. Or 3, lend Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, maybe lend Bitcoin. I mean, I could see that too, if the dollar still exists. A lot of this was predicated on does the dollar exist? And again, I know a lot of people have a hard time with that. I have some of my friends who are like, oh, 100% failure rate in all human society, 100% failure rate, all government run currencies. The US dollar has been one of the strongest, hence why it's lasted more than a lot of them, more than most. But the end comes. The end comes. XRP has only ever given better gains in Bitcoin for short periods of time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly like we were saying. Over large periods of time, Bitcoin outperforms XRP. Trini is giving a little pound, a little love to McLovin. 88 sats rate. You have to pin manually on YouTube, I believe. Yeah, of course. Of course you do. Trini, McLovin, giving some love. Banana Chan. Let's go. Please talk about the BIP 110. So I have to talk to Jor about this. I have to talk to some of these different groups of people. They all have different opinions. I honestly can make arguments for both sides. I'm still looking into this too and trying to learn everything I can. And I was even talking to some of the Ocean guys, trying to talk to some people from the core team, trying to get someone on the podcast. To be totally honest, I've had a heck of a time just getting either side to even come on the podcast. To be totally honest with you, I found that a lot of people just don't even want to talk about it. I'm talking like people in the game here, in the arena. So I don't know what's going on. To be totally honest with you guys, the reason I don't talk about it a ton here, and I've said this before, but my channel is generally geared a little more revolutionary, a little more political, a little more trying to get to the normies, the general population. BIP 110, NOTS, core is very niche. The economic actors, right? If you're a node runner and you're incentivized to understand what's going on, which I'm one of those people, that's why I'm learning about it. I haven't gone down the rabbit hole. I've said as much as I don't like how people are treating each other. I don't like people getting kicked out of the rooms, and just gaslighting people. That's the kind of stuff that makes my spidey sense go up. So I start to lose trust in one side or people when things like that are happening. So those to me are like the first principles of debate, argument, where I don't like that. But I think the other side of it is we got to be careful not to have solutions be worse than the problem. So like that's where a lot of this. I'll say this: I'm not concerned long term. I'm not. It's not something that concerns me long term, because I do believe that you look at the block size wars, the economic incentives of the system are such that the people who need to know, meaning the people who have the most to lose, will figure out what should happen, really generally speaking. So I'm not concerned about it overall. Like if BIP 110 is great and is going to work, then it's going to work. We're going to see it work. And if it's not supposed to work, then it's not supposed to work. Because at the end of the day, money is what talks. So that's what part of it. Like we can talk all day on all these things and different stuff, but at the end of the day, again, money talks. And so you're going to have people voting, which is, again, this is why the XRP and some of these things are non-starters, a lot of them, because you have validators and people don't, it takes forever, Ethereum, they're proof of stake now, but if you don't have people running nodes and it's too costly or too much data to run nodes, you do have to be careful, right? That's why the BIP 110, this debate, all these things are important, and we do have to be careful because you can start losing decentralization in the system if there's too much data on the chain. And then once you have too much data, not enough people running the nodes, now you have too much centralization. So these things are keenly aware of, and the people are studying these things and looking at these things. I'm continuing to look into it. And I've been looking into it for 6 to 9 months and studying this stuff, and trying to get to the bottom of both sides. And it's fascinating, but we will continue talking about it more, and as this year goes on, for sure. So there's a lot of things happening. Pure Life. Either way, I think you're a big dog for answering questions. I own Bitcoin and I am the game. It's fun to hear some perspective on hard questions. Thank you. No, I appreciate that, Pure Life. I'm down for all the hard questions. And I think at the end of the day, if people haven't thought of, I don't know how everyone thinks about things, but I try to think about things from first principles. So, go to AI, go to wherever and like, hey, how do I think from first principles? Yeah, I'm not talking about anyone here specifically, right? But like I've done these things over time. Like I'm always trying to sharpen myself. How do I think from first principles even better? How do I decrease areas of attack? How do I think from, first principles and nature's law and thermodynamics and all these different things? That can start giving you a lot of the answers to these things. And that's really the only place I try to come from is that I don't have the answers to everything. It's just, how do we come from an area that has the least risk or the most secure way to think about this, the most, the smallest amount of attack area, et cetera, right? So this is how I think about things. And I'm continually trying to level that up. So anyway, we will talk about some of those things more as I learn more about it, as I get more comfortable with both sides, seeing what's happening as well. Because it's not, like I said, it's not I talk about how I know about it, right? Like what I just said from first principles. I don't like people gaslighting the other. I don't like the debate being stifled. I don't like people being kicked out of rooms, like all that stuff. I don't like how things are being handled, but that's my expertise. My expertise is coming from those world, like my spidey sense going up. Like, why is Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York, offering me a cheeseburger to get something injected into my body in 2020? Like that makes my spidey sense go up, right? So when things like that happen, trust your gut, trust your intuition. That kind of stuff makes me shudder. And so that's how I think of stuff. So, and again, everyone's got to use their gut. Everyone has to use their intuition. Everyone has to use their gut. You have 6 higher faculties for a reason given to you by God. You have to use that. Animals have 5 senses. So do we. We have 6 higher faculties though. We're God's highest form of creation. The animals don't have that. Use your intuition. One of the gifts: perception, intuition, memory, reason, imagination. Forgetting the last one. Use your intuition. Use that intuition. Use that gut feel. Like when you walk into a room and it's got a weird vibe, like that's the energy. Like you can tell. It's got a weird vibe. It's got a weird, that's your intuition speaking to you. So Saturday bit, what is up? Agreed, unfazed long term, but might see some dips if it goes sideways. Cheap sats. Heck yeah. Down Under Blues. Yeah, Brandon, I enjoy your live streams. You do a good job. Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. Though this is now the longest stream we've ever done. I got to get the heck out of here. Any last questions, comments, concerns, everything. I really appreciate you guys more than you know. You guys have been awesome. Truly awesome. I'll try to pin it in here. Brandon_Gentili is my channel. And appreciate you guys with some of the stuff earlier, supporting the sponsors in the description there. Thank you. My channel, like I said, I'm going to do stuff with Jordan here, 88 Sats Radio. We do our live streams on Tuesdays and Mondays and Fridays here on this channel. I'm Brandon_Gentili, this one. We do the podcast Thursdays and Sundays. We also have our mastermind, 88 Sats Radio here, Jor, me, Robin, Rajat, and Forrest on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday night, we do the Bitcast with BTC Sessions and Nathan from BTC Mentor and Forrest, and Walker and Joey from Canadian Bitcoiners. And I think Jor and I might be doing a little live stream each week too, going forward here in the future. So a lot of great stuff coming. A lot of amazing collaborations. We're going to win, guys. We're going to win. We are going to win. Gambler, the Gambler, it's, Brandon_Gentili. I got to try to pin it in here. See if I can. I'll put it in here again right now. And then I will try to pin this. Hopefully this works. There we go. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Yep. I gotta go. Family's wondering where I'm at. All right, here we go. There we go. Pinning it. Trying to pin it. There we go. Now it's pinned. Now we're cooking gasoline. We're cooking. No, my computer's like, yeah, no, we're all set here. Computer's half freezing, I think. Oh man, it's not liking this. Appreciate you guys a ton. But yeah, go check all those out. That's the channel. Thanks, Jor. Appreciate it. Have a great night, everybody. A great Monday night. What a way to start a week. Dog's in here. He's ready to go. Just pinned the channel there. Appreciate you guys a ton. Down Under Blues, the Gambler. I'll be possibly in Vegas. We'll see. If they ask me to speak, I will go. Otherwise, I will probably not go. So we shall see. To be announced. Thank you. Thank you, McLovin. Do you think we could dip down to realized price before the bull run starts again? Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to do exactly opposite what everyone thinks it's going to do. So yeah, I do think it could. And then it'll take off. This is the greatest foundation and launch pad that we've created in years. So buckle up. Buckle up. Consolidate your UTXOs while the price, the fees are down, stuff like that. Consolidate the UTXOs, get that done. Use, Sparrow with your cold card, or use Sparrow with your Blockstream J, use Sparrow with your Foundation Passport, and get ready. Get ready to launch. Thanks, Jor. Appreciate it. No, you're the man too, dude. I really appreciate that. Trini, great to see you guys. 75.5. Let's go. Let's go. All right, there it is. Appreciate you guys a ton. I got to get some sleep. You guys rock.